So, welcome to Friday Night Frenzy. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the end of the week. Unfortunately, the delaying of this stream meant that, well, I'm running solo tonight. Apparently, I have no friends. No one loves me. I'm very lonely. Very sad that I have to cover all these legal facts by myself, alone, without any pleasant back and forth or dialogue or exchanges of information or any of the fun stuff that we would ever imagine from these two.
I was just like, I was so tempted to just hit the add to stream midway through just to be like, you liar.
I know. You guys, thank you for being patient. I was doing the take after Maya recap that trial is substantially different in the content covered, in that it's not really a whole lot of laughing.
No, there's not a lot of fun in that case.
Yeah. So I wanted to create like a disconnect. Now, a lot of people are asking a question. Go ahead.
The tragic case of a dead mother is not
and a kidnapped child.
Well,
you're not finding the hilarity in that?
Doctors who kidnapped her. You're not finding the funny?
If you guys are interested in covering that trial, if you're interested in looking at that trial, I've been doing recaps every night. Yeah, let's leave that for that one because I've
been working on my stand-up comedy. I'll turn it into my stand-up comedy bit. That's
no. Although Dr. Chopra did a good job at that. Dr. Chopra, have you seen the little intro clip that I've done with that?
No.
Oh man, he is a hoot. Hang on, I can probably play this because this is good. You guys get a kick out of this. Let me see if I can't pull it up.
And copyright strike.
It's not a copyright strike. No, I did it as like an intro thing, like in one of the live stream. Why is that the wrong one? You're the wrong one. No, that's not why. I want the one that's the intro. Where's the? Did it not save? No.
One of these days you'll become competent at this YouTube thing.
You know what, Kurt? Grab your B-fish, my friend, because grab your B-fish. Hang on. I found it.
Now that's a euphemism you won't hear on any other channel.
Grab your B-fish. Grab your B-fish. No, this is Dr. Chopra. Let me see. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Nope.
No audio?
No.
See, this is the problem, man. This kills me with this. I don't know why my system doesn't want to behave. Let me try it this way.
Maybe try turning it off and turning it back on again.
The whole system? Repeatedly. I mean, hang on. It's going to load as an intro. It's not an intro. That was the intro to when he testified.
No, you're
okay. Now I have audio.
You don't understand. The jury actually gets asked questions too.
Are you serious? It's a nice day.
Plaintiffs, are there any follow-up questions?
Yes, Doctor, part of your review.
I'm only going to owe you $1.
Is there a
one question? $1.
Is there a stop here? Do you have a button to push for stop?
I told you I'd pay you your $1. Yeah, it's gonna be quick, I promise. Just to follow up on one of the jurors' excellent questions.
Those are the potential. Yeah.
Okay, I owe you $3.
Oh yeah, I know. And $4 there, $7 today. My day is done.
What is happening right now?
I don't know.
Thank you for being here, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
The judge created a swear. The witness in the rapport. The witness in the rapport with the direct examination. The guy that was doing the direct exam. The attorney kept cutting him off, and he says, "Every time you cut me off, you're gonna have to give me $1." And he creates like a $1 swear jar every time his own attorney, the attorney that called him, cuts him off. It's like, give me $1. And it became this running joke throughout his entire testimony, where if you cut him off or if you asked him a question after he was done, you owe him $1. So you think it would go bad. And when he first started testifying, I was going, this is going to be terrible. No, they ate it up. He owned that courtroom by the end. It was hilarious. But that was the like
Oh,
little
that's something I'm
piece.
just thinking of how I do that on cross-examination.
Well, that was the last dude you said, the last dude that was up, that was the attorney doing cross. He was like, I've done the math, I owe you $3. And he goes, yeah, and he owes me $4.
And how much are you billing for your time here today? Yeah.
He didn't know. He didn't know. It was
You didn't
great.
know how much
He
he
had
was
no.
billing
He
for his
goes,
time?
no, he didn't. He goes, my office handles that. I have no freaking clue. And I was like, that's the best answer. I have never heard an expert say my office staff handles that. I was like, that's awesome. Because the defense counsel was going, okay.
You don't know what you're worth?
Oh, I mean, the dude knew what he was
You
worth.
ever look at the checks, sir? How big are they typically?
He gets bigger checks from the
About
other stuff
yay
he
big?
does.
About yay
bigger
big.
bigger the other ones he does. Yeah. It was interesting. But I did want to make this comment. There's a pinned comment in the chat. So I have a buddy of mine who started a YouTube channel, and I like to encourage creators. I like to encourage creators. I like to encourage Kurt. I like to encourage Ian. I like to encourage Torin3, who does some beautiful work. I like when people get out there and they decide they want to make stuff. And my buddy Neil has a new video out that he put out today on his channel. And YouTube is doing, you know how YouTube does the YouTubey things where it's like the first few videos you put out and then the next one, it's like fewer and fewer and fewer views. I'm like, I don't like how YouTube plays that game. So he put out a new video today discussing random facts about World War I. That's the pinned comment. If you guys wouldn't mind checking that channel out, it would be very much appreciated, because I think it's
Archduke
important.
Ferdinand was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist group called the Black Hand.
I don't know the facts. Maybe. I don't know.
That's World War I.
Is it? It is.
Yeah.
Also, the Black Hand is a great menacing like villain name.
I just taught Rob a fact he didn't know. That's World War I.
That happens a lot.
I'm sure there's lots of facts that he doesn't know.
Okay. That's fine.
Not necessarily a lot of useful facts.
It was also called the Great War and the War to End All Wars.
How did the ending all wars work out? Did they successfully end all wars?
Not as much, no.
Yeah, I figure that they didn't, given that it was World War I, because they never say one unless there was a two.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's kind of wild.
Or, I mean, for movies, that would be a bold move. Like, hey, here is this movie one. And it's like, yeah, we're not going to go see that.
Yeah. Well, I like two. Well, you
was
don't like two
also
parts. You don't like
case-
when it has like World War in front of it.
It was also dealing with one of
The
the great
sequel was
First
way
Amendment
worse than the original.
cases, dealing with handing out of pamphlets to protest the draft in World War I. One of the great First Amendment cases.
Oh
where
yeah,
they upheld
phenomenal
they upheld
case.
they upheld the conviction at the time.
Yep.
Schneck, right? That was Schneck versus United States.
Yes, it was Schenck.
That was the fire in the crowded theater case.
It
Schneck
was, and it
versus
wasn't
United
even
States.
about that.
The conviction, the guy was convicted for handing out pamphlets encouraging people to protest the draft.
Correct, and that fire in the crowded theater
Schneck.
was
Yeah.
not controlling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is one of the ways that you can tell somebody who thinks they know law but doesn't actually know crap, is if they cite fire in a crowded theater and they are taking it seriously, then they don't know what they're talking about.
Yep. If they say that phrase, if they specifically say that phrase, you're not allowed to shout fire in a crowded theater. And they say, and they cite to that as some type of controlling precedent. They are not there. They are reading headlines and captions. They are not really knowing what the heck they're talking about.
They're worth mocking.
Well, a lot of people that give legal commentary worth mocking.
That was the
including
period
myself.
before the Supreme Court decided that the First Amendment existed. So it's right up there with Whitney v. California, in which they convicted someone for wanting to join the American Communist Party just by being a member. They convicted them and sentenced them in California.
And
the Supreme Court upheld that conviction too. They hadn't discovered the First Amendment yet. They hadn't gone that far. Dred Scott, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Supreme Court cases that are just worth mocking. And that's what's funny is people always talk about like how Supreme Court cases are, you can't touch them. You can't go back and reassess. Like, people get
I
things
really can.
really
I'm mocking
wrong.
current. I'm mocking current Supreme Court cases.
We do it all the time.
I'm mocking
I
future
mock
Supreme
Students
Court
for Fair
cases.
Admission, a case from last term for apparently ruling that Harvard was subject to the 14th Amendment. Because I'm like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah, they could have
Well, they
gotten
said
there.
it several
I get
times.
it. You texted me. We had a dialogue about this. You were like,
Yeah.
Rob, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I
It's
was like, I
no, that's
can't.
not happening.
I'm mocking current things the Supreme Court is doing now. So
Yeah.
I can absolutely mock the Supreme Court.
Yeah. So it's all fair game. All fair game. Legal commentary is what we do here. And Kurt, I posted something in the private chat. I need you to cooperate with a request of mine for a document. Because there's something
Oh, I didn't share it to you. I gave you the
you
link.
shared it. You texted me.
Uh-huh.
I can't
Yeah,
pull
do
it
you
up on
need
my
the link?
computer.
Well,
Yeah,
let me give
drop
you the
the
link
link in the
again. I'll give
private
you the
chat.
link. Give me the link. Hold on.
In the private chat. So for those of you who watch this channel, you know that I stay way the hell away from politics. I hate politics. I hate all politicians. I really do. But there's a certain case that
Did you
is
hear
just
who died?
going. Well,
There's one less politician in the world.
We're not going
that,
to
I
comment about
guess.
politics. There's going to be one more that's appointed by a governor, not elected by the people of the state.
Not today.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that she can't continue in the role, given that she's been effectively dead for the past several years.
Well, you did hear that several of her votes were not logged until after she actually passed. So she actually did vote posthumously.
Wow, you
I'm
guys
not-
are run
I'm
by
pretty sure-
zombies.
I'm pretty sure that's not legal.
I don't know.
I remember a Court of Appeals where they tried that
pretty
once.
new.
Where like
Pretty
they tried to enter a judge's opinion after they were dead, and the Court of Appeals was like, no,
Yeah,
the
but like I
judge is
said,
dead.
I avoid politics at all cost. At all cost. Other of my colleagues, they dive right in. I avoid it because I can't really parse the bullshit. I think there's bullshit that's on both sides.
Well, I try
However-
to look at it from a legal angle to the maximum extent I can.
And I appreciate the fact you did that when you covered the Paxton case, that you had a lot of people that were opposed to what you were saying, and what you were saying wasn't what a lot of people wanted to hear. That's the thing. I appreciate people that give fair coverage. Now, one case that is going to just completely rule the day, and there was an
Yeah.
announcement today in that case, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because, my God, it's not about the politics, it's about the chaos. And I'm going to
Yeah.
allow my friend a little bit of time to explain, because it's not about the politics, it's about the chaos.
Yeah.
It's about the chaos.
Yeah, so this is dealing with Donald Trump's case out of Georgia. As I'm sure many of you will recall, he's facing legal challenges on several angles. Two notable state cases, one out of New York and one out of Georgia, state cases, and two federal cases, one out of DC and one out of Florida. So this is dealing with the Georgia state case. They have charged Donald Trump and a whole bunch of other people with Georgia's version of RICO, basically arguing that they're a corrupt organization that have engaged in a whole bunch of predicate acts to further a conspiracy that's criminal in its nature. Okay, so normally you can't just magically take a state case and make it federal. That's not a thing. In some countries in the world, certain kinds of crimes are automatically federal. So sometimes one of the things that confuses people from other parts of the world is they're like, oh, this murder case is a state case, or this other serious case is a state case. Yeah, it usually is. Like that isn't a thing in the US system. Like cases that are sufficiently serious are not automatically federal. So you can't normally just magically turn a state case into a federal case, but there is an exception. And the exception is rooted in the nature of being a federal officer. The idea being that the states cannot make illegal what the federal government makes legal. So you could imagine, for example, some state doesn't like, I don't know, insert your
The
law
IRS.
enforcement apparatus of choice.
The
ATF,
IRS. The IRS. And this,
whatever,
no,
right?
no, because
The
this
ATF is
came
upset
up.
that you have a dog that is unshot.
No,
Yeah.
this came up with the IRS. This is where we have a lot of this defense, because the IRS, certain states tried to outlaw the IRS enforcement of taxes.
They tried
And
to enforce
it-
it. They tried to outlaw a lot of things.
They tried to
Yeah.
outlaw it, and they were like, "You can't be an IRS." And then the IRS was like, "No, we're the IRS. Like we are allowed to do these things, and certain federal functions are allowed to be tried exclusively in federal courts."
Right.
So
So yeah. So anyway, so the idea that is if you're performing a federal function, you can take your case and what's called remove it to federal court and ask the federal government to step in and be like, hey, federal government, I was just doing my job. The state can't prosecute me. And if you're right, the federal court will take it and they'll dismiss the case so that the state can't try you. So one of the things that we were expecting to have happen was Donald Trump to take advantage of this because all pretty much all the acts occurred. I don't know about strictly all, but a significant percentage of them occurred while he was president. And Donald Trump, by nature of being president, has defenses that are available to him that wouldn't be available to anyone else. For example, he isn't subject to the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act prevents federal officials from acting in political ways, but the president is not subject to the Hatch Act. The president also is the commander-in-chief. He's also head of state. He's also head of government. He's also the head of the entire executive branch. And he has constitutional arguments rooted in Article 2 that wouldn't be available to any other federal official. So
Which
he's
you don't raise in state court because they're federal function arguments.
Right, you don't raise them in state
That's
court.
the providence of the federal court.
Right. So we were expecting, and I was expecting him to file this notice to the federal court saying, hey, federal court, couldn't help notice I'm being prosecuted over here. Would you like to perhaps rule that I have some federal defenses? And then perhaps argue for absolute immunity and thus perhaps get the cases dismissed outright. Or at least if they couldn't get them dismissed outright, they'd be heard by a federal judge. And the jury for that would be drawn from the entire Northern District of Georgia, which encompasses many, many counties and not just Fulton County.
Georgia.
So it would be a wider jury pool. And then Trump didn't file the notice of removal. Today was the deadline to do it. He had 60 days, I believe, was the number. And today was the deadline. And he filed notice yesterday saying he's not seeking federal removal. And it blew my mind because it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it.
So I'm guessing his supporters are already out there saying that he's playing like 40 snakes and ladders.
This isn't about that. What I am the only reason that I am bringing this up is to basically give the caveat, because here's the thing. The prosecutor in Georgia and the court in Georgia, the state court, has been very, very clear that any trial in the state of Georgia, in the state court in Fulton County, will be live streamed.
Yeah.
And if you think that there were chaotic trials that were ever live streamed,
forget Johnny Depp.
The state prosecutor in Georgia, they might want to reassess their decision to live. I don't know, but the concept of this being live streamed, he will not be seeking to remove.
They're going to have to put in all the metal detectors for this trial as well.
Yeah, and also this last sentence is kind of rich. The decision is based upon well-founded confidence that the court intends to fully and completely protect his right to a fair trial and guarantee him due process of law throughout the prosecution of the case in the Superior Court of Fulton County, Georgia, which is just Atlanta, which, as is true for many cities, is heavily Democratic. I looked it up, incidentally. In the 2020 election, it was 73% Democratic vote.
Well,
so
it's also completely contrary to everything they have said prior to this.
It's also contrary to everything they said publicly. So it makes no sense. Donald Trump, if he had filed for notice of removal, would not have needed to testify, so that he could have not testified. He could have done it on paper. If he was denied by the federal district court, he could have appealed it to the Court of Appeals on the 11th Circuit, and then could have appealed it to the Supreme Court of the United States on the issue of federal preclusion, federal preemption, and also the fact that it would grant him immunity. So that is a interlocutory appeal because it would prevent the case from going forward if he has immunity. So that case would have to be expedited, and it would delay proceedings and at a bare minimum. And there was significant legal probability that he might have won. I mean, he might have lost in the end, but why not try? Why not try to do it and delay things? And
from a legal standpoint, from the legal maneuvering.
Yeah, he just because Mark Meadows lost doesn't mean he was going to lose, because he had defenses Mark Meadows didn't have, because he's the president. He has unique defenses. And so this decision blows my mind legally. It's like, I can't think of any reason legally you wouldn't want to file this motion.
He's
If you
playing 4D
win,
snakes and ladders, man.
it's like if you get it in
Goodness.
federal court, even if you can't get it dismissed outright, you get your jury from the entire Northern District of Georgia, which is many, many counties. You get a wider jury veneer, and that includes a more heavily Republican base and more favorable jurors. Plus, you get a federal judge on the whole thing with more objectivity, and it's not someone seeking the limelight like the Fulton County prosecutor, who is going to take this and run with it in their bid for whatever job it is they're applying for next.
Here's why I'm talking about this. I don't like political stuff. I don't cover these trials. I don't do it. I'm well known for not doing that. My friends know I'm not I don't do that. Kurt knows I don't do that. Kurt and I had a joke about this because it wasn't about the politics of it. It's about the, oh my God, what's going to happen? This is, and here's the other part about this. Every single person on the internet who knows that you are a lawyer that streams trials or gives commentary on trials is going to come to me or Kurt or Ian, and they will say very openly, why aren't you commenting on this trial? Aren't you going to cover this
Canadian
trial? And I will
I'm
say,
covering it. I'm telling you right now, I'm probably going to get myself a pop tent and put myself on the grass at the courthouse in Atlanta.
and that's fine. I am not. I will watch your coverage. I am not going to cover this thing. And I'm making that clear because this is going to be a.
Yeah.
Do you need sidewalk sleeping tips?
Yeah, I'm going to need some sidewalk sleeping tips. And whatever was true of Johnny Depp, you know, this is times a million. The alpacas will be the least strange thing about this clown show. Like we thought, you know, a lot of you guys thought, you know, where are we ever going to find a trial that will top Johnny Depp? How will we ever reach that height again? Well, I've got good news for you people, because it's happening. Mark your calendars.
You need to hire.
The clown show is coming.
You need to hire like 100 mods. I mean, I would just disengage the chat because there's no like
No, my chat is in it for purely objective legal coverage, and there will be no political infighting whatsoever.
I'm sure it's going to be a very calm crowd, and that's why I'm not going anywhere close to this damn thing. But I had to at least acknowledge that it happened because my God, that's one of the biggest but that's just trial wise. I can't wrap my brain around it. I cannot process what that trial is going to. I don't want to.
So if any of you guys got a spare bedroom near the Fulton County Courthouse, let me know. I'm shopping accommodations. I may need a month.
All right, Alan Muller.
You beat me by a half second. I was just about to pull that up.
Alan Muller, you so far, you win the funny comment for the beginning of the show. Uncivil's coverage will be intense, as in IN-tense. God bless, man. I wish you all the luck in the world. I might send a rosary your way. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Holy smokes. I guess we shall see. But let's not focus on that one because I want to talk about another federal trial that's beginning next week.
Oh God.
Happy swoop. Double happy swoop. Whose trial begins next week? His name is Not So Freed. Yeah, baby. Sam Bankman Not So Freed goes to trial next week. October 3rd. October 3rd is Sam Bankman-Fried's trial.
I wish him a very merry incarceration for life.
Well, we've got some updates on the trial itself. I want to pull up these things. Orders. Hang on. I was doing the...
You know what will be hilarious, though? The habeas motions that he makes from custody, going like, my pillow is not sufficiently fluffed.
Ian, wait. You don't. You got to hold off on the jokes because you got to hold it because you didn't look at the docket, did you?
I have seen what he's been filing so far.
Did you see what he filed like yesterday?
I'm guessing it's my pillow is insufficiently fluffed.
It's not really that, but
He wants a fluffer in jail.
oh,
Wow, that's great. Yeah,
that
just
was
wonderful.
that was a way that you could have assessed it or talked about it. A way. I'm not sure if that's the way. Oh, Ian.
I
Okay, hang
disagree.
on.
It is the way. The one true way.
So I want to make sure that I've got the document pulled up. Where is it? Okay. That's the calendar. So let's do the calendar first, and then we'll go to some of the motion stuff. Share the screen. All right.
He can share a cell
Here's
with
calendar.
Bernie Madoff.
All right. So this is the calendar. The judge has been kind enough to say that we are going to. I don't know why you attach an exhibit that just says trial every day. It literally just says trial. It's like, we're going to publish a tentative calendar of the trial. Trial. So it goes to trial October 3rd. Then we have 4 days of that trial, then 4 days the next trial, then 4 days next week. So there's it's not that wild. I think this case is going to be more simple than what the prosecution is going to say because of certain things that Bankman-Fried's already said and because they have cooperating witnesses. So October 3rd, it's slated to go till November 9th. With intermittent things
Long
between.
time.
You guys will recognize that it was supposed to begin on October 2nd. It's not because he
got an
complained that he
extra
missed a day. He got an extra
Yeah.
day because he complained that he missed a day. And the judge was like, here's one back. Best move by the court. This judge I have enjoyed this judge. He's done a good job so far, and he is not shy in giving his opinions. Let's do this. This is a docket.
I appreciate
and-
that he's willing to control his courtroom. I do appreciate that.
Oh, very much. So he grants me the ability to dress out. That's going to be granted 10 out of 10. The
Yeah, of
defendant
course
has
it
the right
is.
to appear not in jailhouse scrubs.
This is something you always ask for if you can, because the jury's going to convict your client if they show up wearing jailhouse orange. Like, just
Yeah.
100%. They would convict the lawyer if the lawyer was wearing jailhouse orange.
One of my I'll pull that up in a minute. Actually, I wonder if I can add that as a banner or a brand tool.
He gets 3 suits, 4 shirts, 3 ties, 1 belt, 4 pairs of socks.
Oh
2
yeah,
shoes,
that
2 pairs of
I
shoes.
was.
Why does he need 2 pairs
that
of
was-
shoes?
Tell me this wasn't a little bit specific. So what Kurt's reading is the docket entry from September 27th, the order as to his request to be dressed out like in business attire. The MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center, shall permit, or the Marshal Service shall permit and make appropriate arrangements for the defendant to wear business attire clothing while he is in courtroom 26A. I love how it's so specific to the courtroom for the duration of the criminal trial. So when he goes back into another courtroom or in a conference center, he's not.
Yeah, I
But-
guess.
Yeah, it's further ordered that they shall accept and maintain on the defendant's behalf the following articles of clothing to be provided by defense counsel: 3 suits consisting of slacks and jackets, 4 dress shirts, 3 ties, 1 belt, 4 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of shoes, and appropriate undergarments.
Why do you need 2 pairs of shoes?
I guess you want a blue suit and a black suit. I don't know, or a gray suit and a black suit. I don't know.
Brown shoes, black shoes. I'm guessing that's what they were thinking.
Yeah, it's probably it. Then the same day, you have another order that this was the order and condition regarding his use of equipment. How much did the judge not trust him? This is how much the
Air
judge
gap.
doesn't
Jabs
trust
Nice.
him.
disabled.
Like, how much does the court not trust this man? He's allowed. It is hereby ordered that the defendant, Sam Bankman-Fried, will be permitted the use of a, quote, air-gapped, internet-disabled laptop solely in order to take notes in courtroom 26A during his trial on the conditions noted above.
Nice.
So he's going to be like in a skiff, like that air-gapped, can't communicate with the outside world, just to take notes. Whatever happened to a notepad?
Mm.
I personally have dysgraphia, so I use a laptop.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
So
And then you see this lovely little docket entry that the judge has set hearings as to Sam Bankman-Fried's oral argument set for September 28th regarding his request for temporary release.
No.
Well, gee, what might that be? This next one, that's 287. That's the expert testimony. No. This one was.
We don't even need the defendant here during the hearing. I like that. That's cute. He gives you probably a good sense of where that's going.
So he filed a renewed motion for temporary release. And where was it?
And
It
the
was
judges filed a new motion for go F yourself.
I didn't mean
For
to
the
say
reasons
that.
previously said, the request is denied.
Where was it? Hang on. His new motion
is-
was.
Does he not
Well,
understand
judge
how
says-
jail works? I don't think he
There it
understands
is.
how jail works.
Temporary release, that one. That's what I want.
Which is really how a judge says, "Did I effing stutter?"
No, it was that one. It was the September 25th. Okay, so after he got detained, his attorneys very promptly filed the following. This letter, September 25th, Judge Kaplan, on behalf of our client, Sam Bankman-Fried, we respectfully submit this letter to renew our request that the court order the temporary release of Mr. Bankman-Fried for his upcoming trial because it is, quote, necessary for the preparation of his defense. In its last ruling on the issue, the court noted that its ruling did not foreclose a further application from the defense. That was after they basically said you can't just say you need him. The court has previously noted that it understands the difficulties of preparing a complex case for trial. We submit that we are finding it exceedingly difficult as a practical matter to adequately prepare for trial with the restrictions on access currently in place. This is not a point we make lightly, but it is the reality of the nature of the case. This case is highly technical and complex, and we need our client to help us understand the facts and explain many of the issues. Okay. He alone knows the facts, which are also critical in preparing the defense. Well, he does a good job of putting those facts in writing in Slack messages and email communications. And the only reason I want him out of jail is so I can yell at him directly if I'm his attorney. Unfortunately, his knowledge and insight cannot be replicated by third-party experts as they are not familiar with the underlying facts and cannot provide the
That's
necessary
not
help.
particularly encouraging. If that's true, that like no third-party accountant, no third-party forensic accountant, no one can understand this madness. It's not really speaking very well of him and the business. Like no
Yeah, you
one
know
can
what?
figure out this mess because of how convoluted it is. That's not a great
That-
sign.
That kind of suggests like corrupt accounting practices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
V-Rod Cruiser, I think I hear the BitBoy's lawyers asking if he should have the same tech restrictions. Okay. The issue came up recently at the bail appeal. Here's the thing. They are going to try and persuade the trial judge based on comments that were made during the hearing. Not the court's ruling, because the appeal was denied. Not the court's ruling, but comments that the appellate court made. Let me tell you how much that's going to sway the trial court judge. Any guesses? Any guesses as to whether the judge is going to listen to commentary?
Random off comments as opposed to the actual ruling. Yeah.
Yeah.
F all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on Tuesday, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals heard Mr. Bankman-Fried's appeal of the court order revoking his bail. Caveat. The Second Circuit affirmed the court's decision. During the portion of the oral argument related to Mr. Bankman-Fried's ability to adequately prepare for trial, Judge Walker noted that there remains an incentive to find a workable solution because if Mr. Bankman-Fried has insufficient access to his attorneys, it could raise a potential appellate issue that might otherwise be avoided. It's this little key word here, insufficient access. That's one where there's a whole lot that is not being said in this letter. Insufficient access means I don't have communication. He openly has communication. They are transporting him to and from. Like he has communication. We appreciate the efforts that the government has made to provide our client access to the case materials and his counsel, but we respectfully submit that in practice, they are not workable. We respectfully submit the practical realities of defending this complex case also argue for temporary release. Oh, there it is. There it is. That's the part. I would like a taste of freedom before I go away for a long time.
He should have used that. He should have used that taste of freedom while he had it.
And that is exactly how I would respond to this motion.
Oh yeah.
The defendant doesn't really care about access to his attorneys. He just wants a taste of freedom. And he's already demonstrated to the court that he doesn't regard the court's orders with any level of respect. So if you let him out temporarily in the days prior to his
Oh my
trial,
God.
what's
I
to
love
prevent him?
the sentence in the middle here. At this
Wait, which
point,
one?
we have no. At this point, we have no indication of what witnesses the government will in fact call or in what order. Wow.
You don't get the order. You don't get
Wow.
the order.
Oh man!
The
Wow, it's like that is
like-
some bullshit. Hey,
It's
Rob, can you tell me? Can you tell me in advance what order you're going to call your witnesses, please? Can you
I'd
let
also
me
like
know
a
that?
complete list of questions, please. And your witnesses' anticipated answers. I want everything. Can I just
Can you
sit
just
in
tell
on
me
your
your
trial
entire
prep?
strategy, please?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow. What? If it's what brazenness? What brazenness, sir?
please tell me exactly what witness you're going to call when.
No.
Yeah, please F yourself with everything.
No.
Neil popping in. Hey, Neil. Pointed to your channel. I hope everyone jumps over and says hi. Just popping in between sets and say thanks, Rob. Neil plays at Bobby McKee's Dueling Piano Bar. So
That's cool.
he's literally, Neil, are you literally sending me a super chat like between sets from Bobby McKee's right now? 920.
He's actually
take a field
typing
trip to
this
Bobby
as
McKee's.
he
Yes. Can we do-
plays.
yes.
Can we do the stream from Bobby McKee's some week? Can we
I would
just
love
do-
that. I would love a cocktail with friends like you who needs
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. Have a fun show tonight, bud.
Maybe
yeah.
you can put some of our rants to song.
Oh, that would be lovely. I think that would be fun.
Give us a little theme music.
At this point, we have no indication which witnesses they will, in fact, call. Well, you have a list of potential witnesses. They don't have to tell you which ones of that list they intend to call. And the order, yeah, you get like a day's notice. You don't get like a month notice of when they're going to call or 2 weeks. You don't get that.
Yeah.
We will likely not know this information until shortly before trial and on a rolling basis thereafter.
There's a pretty
In a
decent
case this
chance the prosecutor doesn't know the answer to the question until shortly before trial.
That's
I mean,
true
I've-
because you don't know what you need to call. You don't know who you need to call
I've
Ghostbusters.
changed up which witnesses I was going to call. Like,
based on what was said by the last witness.
yep. It's like, I've literally called a witness who was at home and said, hey, can you be here in like 20 minutes? And they're like, why? I'm like, I thought I was calling you in 3 days. I'm calling you today. Ideally. And the guy's like, I will drive. I'm like, thank you. Because sometimes you need that witness in the right place. So, yeah.
We will be unable to properly represent our client at his upcoming trial unless we are able to confer with him and prepare for the next day's witnesses and exhibits in the hours when we are not sitting in the courtroom. There's holding cells for that. And the thing is, the judge can very easily say, I will allow the defendant an additional 4 or 5 hours after the close of the hearing to sit in holding with counsel until he's returned to the MDC. Like if I'm the judge, that's what I'm doing. You can pay for private security. You're held in back there in detention center. Like you get a couple
That'd be
hours
fun.
after the trial.
That's fun for counsel being in the holding cell. That's good times.
And you know what?
Done
Bring
it
him
a
in at
lot.
5 a.m. Bring him in at 5 a.m. Like, and yeah, Ian, that's the point. That's the point. He is asking for a special exception to every other criminal defendant. Ian, how much trial prep do you get with your client, and where does that happen?
Oh, I mean, if my client's in custody, they'll give me a fair, like I've spent several 8-hour days with a
At
client
the detention center.
at the detention center in a crappy little concrete room, where there's a bathroom, like you can go, but like if you want a coffee, that's not happening. It's like you get like a paper cup full of water if you're lucky. And yeah, I can tell you it sucks going the whole day with no caffeine while you're trying to do trial prep, but they're like, nope, You don't get coffee. You don't get anything.
Yep. We will not be able to do this unless he is temporarily released for trial.
No. Your client was out. Remember?
Was.
And then he tried to interfere with witnesses and do a little light witness tampering.
Just a little bit, though.
So,
Just a little bit.
you know,
leaking
no.
information to the New York Times.
Yeah, no.
And what happened? Here's the thing. What happens if a day in court goes sideways and Mr. Bankman-Fried decides, I'm going to find a way to get on Twitter in the middle of his trial?
That'll definitely happen.
And he would. Like 100% he would.
It's not even a question. He would. Like, you absolutely know that he would. And the judge is going to say, based on his course of conduct, he's already demonstrated he doesn't respect the orders of this court. I can't trust him to do that. I don't care what contingencies you give me. No.
Yep. They're just setting it up for an appeal. They're going to whine due process.
They are. And the Second Circuit's going to be like, nah, bro. The Second Circuit has done so many financial crimes. Second Circuit encompasses New York City. The number of white collar crime the amount of white collar crime that gets prosecuted in that circuit. I mean, that is where you look for precedent in white collar crime.
SDNY, baby. That's what they do.
That's all. I mean, those prosecutors are trained. That is what they do.
That's what they do.
Yep. Accordingly, defense counsel will have virtually no opportunity to meet with Mr. Bankman-Fried, discuss the day's testimony and admitted exhibits, and discuss and prepare for the next day's testimony exhibits. He will. You're right there. You act like he's not watching it and doesn't have an understanding of what's going on.
He can always go pro se if he wants more.
As
should
we
do
already.
that. He should definitely go pro se.
Please, no.
Oh, please,
No.
yes. Oh my.
What lawful law says Sam Bankman-Fried?
It would,
I
it
would
would even be that.
Stanford.
Because there's such. You just imagine that, like, his entire defense is, but you guys just don't understand.
His defense
That sounds like a lot of what his defense
to
is.
understand.
That should go
Looking at
over
a
real well
federal
with the jury.
jury.
Insulting the
looking at a
intelligence of the
federal
jury is
jury.
usually a really good. It's a really good way to go.
In New York.
Yeah, that's insulting the intelligence of the jury. I don't care if they are farmers and sharecroppers. You don't insult the intelligence of the jury, because
One of my
amazingly they'll hold
questions
it against you.
How I want to ask you. Let me finish this, and then I'm going to ask you guys a question, because I'm very curious to your response on this particular point. He should be entitled to participate meaningfully in his own defense. He has been, and he was entitled to that right, even more so than he has now. Defense counsel can meet with him at MDC, as we have been. That's his own doing. His conduct put him there. He played the FAFO game. He played that game, man. He kept playing that game. He was like FA, and he got to the FO, and now he's whining.
Yeah,
The question I wanted to ask you.
he's going to whine on appeal. He's going to whine on habeas.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, let me finish this document, then I'll ask you the question. In the hours that Mr. Bankman-Fried is not in the courtroom, he must be with his attorneys at his attorney's offices or offsite workspace. Wait, don't highlight this part. Hang on. There's an or. The or, we're gonna make this one green. Or with a security guard in a temporary residence in New York City, where he will live for the duration of the trial. You see, it's that part.
He already has a security guard in a temporary residence in New York City.
He does. He does. Thank you, Kurt. Mr. Bankman-Fried will be able to leave the courthouse with his attorneys and travel with them to their offices or offsite workspace. You didn't mention the private quarters and the security guard there. Starting at 10 p.m., private security guard will meet with Mr. Bankman-Fried at his lawyer's offices and will escort him to and from his office's workspace, temporary residence. You know, the marshals already do that, and it's called ushering him back to jail. Security guard will remain in the residence throughout the evening. I imagine this person is sleeping, though, and will ensure that he does not have access to any computer, internet, television, or electronic devices. no visitors. Come on, man. This is you don't get the luxury, dude. I'm sorry, you do not get the luxury. He'll consent to a gag order. That'll stop him. That'll stop him. He will consent to a gag order that will prohibit him from speaking to anyone for the duration of the trial except his attorneys, other members of the defense team, his parents, and his brother. See, there's
I mean,
a
it
couple
might stop him.
carve-outs. His parents and his brother are
It
potential
might stop
witnesses
him.
here.
If they, like, if it's an order that they put an actual gag in him and maybe also break his fingers.
Oh, because the typing thing.
Yeah, I'd consent to that.
We submit these conditions are sufficiently restrictive to address any concerns the court might have, but we are willing to accept any others the court deems necessary. They already told you MDC.
I was like,
They already.
If I'm the judge, I'd just be like, they've agreed that they will accept any conditions the court deems necessary. The conditions the court deems necessary are incarceration,
My prior
which is
ruling.
apparently by consent because they will accept any conditions the court deems necessary. So, done.
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
The kind of conditions that they'd want to that the court would want to put him on to consider release are so restrictive that normally people would need a safe word for that.
Nice.
Ian, you went there. The question I wanted to ask you guys was this. If you are Sam Bankman-Fried's attorneys right now, what do you think that dialogue is like in discussing his right to testify and whether he wants to do it? That was the reaction I needed. What is that discussion like right now?
Keep your damn mouth shut, Sam. Keep
Yeah,
your damn mouth shut.
But he is entitled to if he chooses against the advice of counsel. Think about those memos because you know damn well he is pushing for it.
There are many, many memos from counsel telling him that this is a very, very bad idea. So when they inevitably sue him for malpractice, it's on the record. Yeah.
I
just need to get up there and explain it to them. I am, according to my own counsel, remind you, I'm the only one who can explain this. No third-party expert could possibly do it. You said so yourself in your own motions. No one else can explain this. I have to testify.
Kurt, thank you for reading my brain because when I read that motion, I was going, this is he might testify. And how bad of an idea is that? That's because he's uncontrollable on the stand.
I mean, it's hilarious.
This is the only witness. If I'm crossing him, if I'm the prosecuting attorney, I am asking every open-ended question. I'm not trying to box him in. I'm letting him talk. I'm just going to say, Mr. Bankman-Fried, what do you think happened? And just go, please explain, and just let him go.
I like it. I like it as an idea.
There is a time and a place for let the witness run free, and that is only when you think that the opposing witness is so awful that you just want them to be awful on their own.
Oh my God. This is the one case where, like, as the prosecuting attorney in cross, you're going, you want to box him in on something, but and the thing is, I would pay all the money for live transcription. And then I would have an assistant back there. I would have someone back there just highlighting as it's being transcribed so that when he finishes his 15-minute monologue, my assistant or co-counsel just passes you the transcript and the highlighted sections. And you're like, Mr. Bankman-Fried, I noted you said boo, 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 and just go one by one and just annihilation. I mean, there is, wow.
I had a trial that was quite hilarious for this because the complainant, like the supposed victim, told their story on direct, and then it was not the same story as they told the police. Like, there was a bunch of details wrong. So I got this I got this person on cross, and I'm like, can you tell your story again from the top? And just let them go. And they finished, and I said, okay, I'm not sure I understood that. Could you tell your story again from the top? And the prosecutor says, we've already heard the story before. And the judge says, well, I think he's entitled to continue asking until it becomes repetitive. And the prosecutor's like, check, please, we're done. Like, because the judge knew exactly what I was doing. So yeah. It
Yeah,
was
I get a
just like-
different answer every time. It's
I-
amazing.
I can't. And the thing is, I've been covering this case since the bankruptcy filing, and the man doesn't stop talking. He cannot stop talking. He is the very definition of self-snitching, and it
and
is,
he's so arrogant. It is
and
wonderful.
so arrogant about it. And every explanation is full of holes and confusing side. Just he doesn't answer the question. He never answers the question. But in doing so, in not answering the question, he opens himself up to collateral attacks everywhere. If he were to give you a 15-minute monologue from the stand, you would be crossing him for 2 hours and nailing every point.
Yep.
I mean,
I mean, it's just going to be. I suspect what we'll see is they'll be like, we estimate we need 3 days to cross-examine Bankman-Fried, and then he'll testify, and they'll be like, 3.5 days, and he'll keep talking, and they'll be like, 4. It'll just keep going up. It'll be like an auction with how many days they think they need to cross him for.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pulling this up real quick. Give me one sec, because for some reason the docket entries don't go right in order. So that's 288, the letter motion in limine. Then there was that letter motion, memo endorsement. Where is it, Rob? So the prosecution files their response. And the response by the prosecution is what you would imagine it to be.
Go to hell. Laughing emojis. Can you file responses that are just laughing emojis? Is that a thing?
No, they did better, but they basically call it out. They kind of say this is the background, and the government's going to do this every time because the background is the most harmful thing to them. It's like, to remind you, Judge, he violated all of these things, released all of this information, tried to prejudice every potential juror. Here's the law. Here's the discussion. By the way, please deny this. Please deny this. And do you know what we get from the judge? Ian, it's your favorite thing in the world.
Did I effing stutter?
Memo endorsed.
Yeah. I love this judge is using this very plainly for snark.
Yeah, it is so good. You're not worth me putting pen to paper. So for those of you who are playing catch up, memo endorsed is when the judge takes a filing previously. Rather than address anything with a separate order, he interlineates the filing. He says, I'm going to endorse this, and I'm either going to grant or deny. You're not worth words on paper. And I'm going to
Where's my
throw it,
deny stamp?
throw it back to you. So this is the letter that was filed by Mr. Bankman-Fried requesting the release. We just walked through it. And the judge doesn't really give explanation.
Denied for reasons stated on the record to date. Love it.
Wow.
Love it. Love it.
That is just, did I freaking stutter?
Yeah, I love it.
Yep. So the judge is just like, I'm not having any of this bullshit.
One
You're
sentence.
completely
One
full of
sentence.
crap.
Go away. Oh, it's so satisfying. It's like I've already explained myself. I'm not doing this again.
Was it
Yeah,
my
here's the
favorite?
docket entry.
My favorite from one of my files was one where the prosecutor was very new and was sending a bunch of emails CCing the judge, and the judge just sent back something saying, please be advised that if you send me another email that I don't need to be CC'd on, you can explain this to me in chambers. Also, to the extent that this is considered a request, the answer is no. And I was just like, judge is pissed. Don't do that when there's a seized judge on the file.
This judge does not mess around. I will tell you, like, we make comments about judges and federal judges,
Yeah.
like literally being the kings of their courtroom. Like,
This
and
one
they
is very
act that
professional.
way.
He's very professional. He's very professional, and he's just in control. And he went through the analysis already. It's like, I'm just not doing this again. We've already had this discussion. No.
Mhm.
And he's like, I've made a ruling. This is the ruling. We're moving forward now. He's not constantly just revisiting things over and over. He's not like Judge Schroeder, in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Well, the prosecutor just keeps talking long enough. Judge Schroeder will eventually reverse himself. The judge is like, no, I've made a decision. I made a ruling. I've already justified it on the record. Go read what I said. No. This train is moving. Choo choo, people. Let's go.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that. I
All
appreciate that
aboard.
because
Next-
he was very
next-
professional. He's being very professional, very thorough. His reasons are sound. It's just like, I've made a decision. Let's move on. Appeal. Let me know how it works out for you,
And I'm going to cover the motions in limine next week when we get into the evidence, because the judge made rulings on the motion limine, but that's a 16-page document. I don't have the capacity to go through that right now. But I mean, I'm going to tell you, this judge is having none of it. The judge was like, no, you're not going down this road. You're not going to bring up stuff that doesn't make any sense here. We're keeping you on topic. I'm going to allow certain things to be admitted as true, the insolvency, certain stuff like that. Like, this judge is going, nope, we're trying this case. We're trying this case. Like, the defense was going delay. We want continuance. The judge's like, a day. We're trying this case.
Honestly, I wish I had more of this, because how many cases do we see that are just delayed forever and get lost in motion practice hell, because the judge, for whatever reason, just doesn't want to make a decision. And it happens all the time, and cases go on for years and years and years, just trapped in discovery hell or trapped in motion practice hell, and like nothing ever happens. And this judge is like, we're moving along. It's one of the things I like generally about the Eastern District of Virginia federal court as well, because that rocket docket's like, let's move, people, let's go.
Yeah. To those of you guys who do not know in the chat, because I don't know why you would, Eastern District of Virginia nationwide is known as the rocket docket. Like, you do not get a continuance, do not pass go. We are going to trial. Unless you are telling me that you have been shot in the leg and are currently in a hospital and cannot physically be removed from the hospital, and then I might consider giving you a Zoom hearing appearance, we're going to trial.
I was going to say, we'll just convene the trial in your hospital room.
Kind of. No.
Yeah.
Do not pass go.
Yeah.
Those deadlines are hard deadlines. And if you talk to someone about, like, if you have a practitioner from outside of the jurisdiction who's asking you to come in pro hoc, or they're asking to come in pro hoc vice, a lot of attorneys in Eastern District will not allow that to happen because of the rules in EDVA. They're so strict. They're saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to file under my bar license in this jurisdiction because of how strict those rules are. So this judge has my heart and soul, man. He is the level of snark that I need. I need this. Because Mr. Bankman-Fried, man, let's catch up on some super chats and go to our next topic.
Mr. Bankman jailed.
Mr. Bankman, no, Mr. Bankman not so freed. That's still my favorite. My favorite is still Mr. Bankman not so freed.
Sam Bankman effed.
Mike Dorado, I know you're a working lawyer. It's your real job, but thank you for the extra work on the Maya case. I know this one matters to you, but you fair. Thank you, Mike. I have been following that, and it's tough, but it's important to talk about. Will the real Ray E please stand up? I'm trying to decide if I can handle the take care of Maya case. I remember that soul-crushing depression all too well, but interesting in legal sides. It's not that bad. It's really not. There's some tough moments, but it's a good trial. It's being that judge in Florida. He runs such a great courtroom. The jury is clearly comfortable there. The jury is allowed to ask questions. The jury has been the third attorney. Like, they have asked incredible questions, and they're questions that neither the plaintiff or defense has. It's like the defense and plaintiff's counsel have willfully avoided these questions because they're afraid of the answer. And the jury's like, but why did you correct the notes? And the witness is going, thank God someone asked me this question. And I was like, it's been good. It's a good trial. Melissa Smith, Rob, which was more annoying to you, the shuffling papers yesterday or the mouth breather today? Courtroom audio will always be courtroom audio, and attorneys will never learn how to manage papers on a podium. I don't care how many times you teach them. Every trial has that one attorney that gets up there and it's like in front of the podium. Courtney Michelle, guess who's going to be in your neck of the woods next weekend celebrating her birthday? This girl is. Courtney, happy birthday in advance. I hope you enjoy Northern Virginia / DC area. Please drop a note when you're here. Nolo and Tendere. So how do you pronounce this name?
Nolo Entendre?
Entendre? I keep saying like Nolo Contendere. I can't not say it that way. Robin Runkle, we need a non-vinegary hot sauce recommendation. Reaper preferred. I can mix with my popcorn oil. Any suggestions? Non-vinegar based. Yours,
This one
Ian.
has some vinegar in it, but it's not vinegary in taste. I mean, the second ingredient is apple cider vinegar, but it's not vinegary in taste.
If you like hot, the unique garlic is good. That's my favorite.
I think it's also got vinegar. I mean, they'll almost all
It's
have
not
vinegar in them,
vinegary.
but it's
Yeah,
not a
it's not-
vinegary.
That's what I would go with.
Once it's available, I recommend. Everyone makes
Everyone makes
mistakes.
It's Ian's hot
if you
sauce.
want it slightly hotter, like with Reaper, with Reapers there, it what is it? The other one is Burn Your Regrets. So, yeah.
Yes, Ian made a hot sauce. Yes, it's called Everyone Makes Mistakes. Would
And
you
the second
expect
one that
anything
is
else?
Burn Your Regrets.
Yeah, exactly. Did you expect anything else? No. Chris and M96, happy early birthday to Sandy. Sandy, happy early birthday, my friend. Sandy is a wonderful mod to both me and Kurt. Great mod on both of our channels. Thank you for doing that and for the work that you put in. We appreciate and love the mods for all the work they do, whether it's Discord, YouTube, any of the forums. Thank you, Sandy,
Sandy
and
keeps
happy
me straight
birthday.
most of the time.
She's a good person. She's really a good person. LJ Peach loved it when he asked the judge, "Are you still married?" Yeah. There's context. I have to add. Dr. Chopra, the person that you saw in that little Stitch clip, the judge had released the jury and said, "Hang on 5 minutes." The attorneys then get into a back and forth argument that goes 40 minutes. And the judge pulls the jury back in, and the judge, like a true boss, comes out and says, "It was all my fault. I'm sorry. I know I said 5 minutes. If I got in trouble every time I told my wife 5 minutes at last, and I was 40 minutes late to something, I can't even count." And the witness looks over the judge and says, "And you're still married?" And the judge goes, and the entire courtroom laughs. Even the judge. That witness, like I said, owned the courtroom. Kelly GB, and he asked the judge, "Yep, saw that." Vez, my token of gratitude. Thank you, Vez, for being here. Ryan Man YYC, if Congress caught fire and you could only say one representative, what kind of sandwich would you make? That's the political humor that I find funny. Sue Story, so thankful to stream tonight and the distraction from oral surgery complications and infection this week. I'm sorry. That is rough. Infections are brutal. I hope that you recover. I know that it's a long process because it's an infection. It's not something that just immediately goes away. I hope you feel better.
I had an infection post oral surgery. That really sucked. So, yeah.
Yeah. Canonical Heat. Apologies to Ian. I love your stream. It's easier with work to make FNF. I'll give more memberships. I promise. Canonical Heat. I told you I would relay this to Ian when I talked to him.
It's
I
been
know
relayed.
that it's been relayed, and you're very generous to both streams. And I appreciate the people in the chat that are also very generous to my friend Kurt, who's doing great things on his channel as well. Taiji girl. Thank you, Rob, for not talking politics. I hate it. Peggy Reardon. YSL trial has unbelievable security now. Same building. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That'll be interesting. That trial is, how have they not, how long did they select a jury? Did they have a jury yet? They do.
It would not surprise me if for the Trump trial, if they go ahead and bring in some of those scanners that they use at the airports.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna
Yeah.
like the security on that is gonna be insane.
Yeah.
They may well just say, you know what, we're closing it off, but that's that's a problem with open courts. So, I mean, I guess what they could say is, listen, due to security reasons, no one's allowed in person in the courtroom, but we're going to film it, so everyone's got access.
That'd be interesting. Elizabeth Chetwood. Trump wants to live stream. He's either playing 4D chess or he's not. I don't particularly care what his strategy is. I think it's just gonna be chaos. That's all I think. It's chaos. It's chaos.
Do you think?
20th Century Fox.
Do you think I'm wrong to try to separate the legal from the political? Because I mean, it's an unavoidable trial that has obvious legal implications. But do you think
it has
to try?
I don't know. I think you try it. I do. Kurt, you're good at divorcing yourself from the political emotionality. I think when it comes to these discussions, like you said, the Harvard versus fair admissions, people were attacking that opinion for any number of reasons. You and I were the only ones that kind of attacked it, kind of going, it doesn't make legal sense the way they did it. They could have done it a different way. I think it's not you that I'm worried about. It's the chat. It's never you. It's the chat.
Sometimes I can fight the chat a little bit. Sometimes I get frustrated at the chat. Sometimes I even lose my temper at the chat. It's one of my failings.
And it's not a disparaging remark to the chat. It's the thing is, you only have a certain number of characters you can put into a chat. And then you read stuff that's already been out there for 20 minutes and you never know. And then one person drops a comment and then 15 people respond. And then you have chaos in the chat. I think I wish that everyone had the maturity to approach a trial and watch a trial and view it for the judicial process.
And I just know that if I cover it at all, what I'm going to get is whatever I say, people who disagree or people who imagine that they disagree, because often people will imagine that you're making a point that you're not actually making because they want to argue with you. And I hate that because it's like, well, you said this. And I'm like, I did not say that. I don't think that. That is dumb. But they want to put that in your mouth because they want to fight with you.
It's the hard part.
They'll be freaking out because it's like, oh, well, you're just Canadian. And I'm like, I want to stay the hell away from that trial.
But it's one of those things where I also see the point in covering it, because it's like, take care of Maya, that trial. There are a lot of opinions there, and it's a very sensitive topic, and people are very opinionated. And when I give commentary, people are saying you're totally in favor of the plaintiff or you're totally in favor of the defense. I'm like, no, we're in the plaintiff's case in chief. I'm explaining what they're doing. I'm explaining why what their witness is saying is important. And when the defense is coming up and cross-examining, I'm telling you why the defense needs to destroy this witness. We're here now. Like, you have to wait until.
Yeah. I was having that problem during the Paxton trial because people were like, it's like, oh, you just keep saying the prosecution keep ruling in favor of them, or you keep saying like the prosecution's making its case. It's like, well, it's kind of what you hope to have happen. Like, you kind of hope the prosecution's case is getting better and better as they're presenting it. You kind of hope they're convincing you more and more. That's like what should be happening. Because it's the prosecution's case. So the fact that I'm like, the prosecution's doing a good job. They're making a case. They're making it better and better. It's like, yeah, that's probably what should be happening.
The other thing that's just always bizarre is when you get people who are accusing you of being shills for both sides simultaneously.
Yeah, I have
So you
no
get,
problem too.
like during the Depp trial, I had people on my Twitter. I go and I'm like, yeah, Johnny Depp's team did great during this past hour that we were in trial. And, I'd have people going, oh, you're just a shill for Depp. And then I'd come out and I'd be like, yeah, Rottenborn actually seemed to make some good points. Like the jury was listening to
I
Rottenborn.
still liked his closing. I thought he had a better. I thought he had a
Ron
great
Bourne,
closing.
Ron Bourne had a workable idea. If he had been allowed to run the show, it might have turned
Yeah,
out different.
Yep. Well, and
but
the
he wasn't.
funniest thing,
He wasn't there.
the funniest thing is I'd watched Rottenborn's closing, came out, tweeted like, Rottenborn has a good close. It's a good argument.
People hated you for that. People hated me for that.
And then I went and watched Elaine, and I came out and I was like, everything that Rottenborn accomplished, she just set fire to.
Yeah.
Like that was the end of it. Because like I actually think that there could have been a really different case if it was Rottenborn allowed to.
Here's the point. When I'm referring to the chat, I'm not referring to the people that I'm engaging with in the chat. I'm not referring to people that are there. What I'm referring to is the public at large. I'm referring to perceptions and opinions, and it's not the chat. It's like one or two people or three or four people on different occasions. And the difficulty that we have is like, example, take care of Maya, that trial. The judge has been accused of being, and I had a conversation with a friend of ours who shall not be named because he practices in that jurisdiction, about the judge in particular. And this friend of ours who practices in that jurisdiction, I said, I like this judge. And the friend of ours said, oh, he's a damn good judge. And I made a comment about how the people, when I see opinions flying by, I see equal parts. I hate this judge, too biased to the plaintiff. I hate this judge, too biased to the defense. And I see equal parts. I'm like, that's a sign of a good judge. That's a good judge.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain and walk that line. And it's careful, but I do trust the people that are watching. And even when the people that are watching disagree, I think it's important to have an informed discussion. I had this comment about last Friday when all three of us were just kind of screaming at each other. Well, Ian and I were screaming at each other, and Kurt was laughing hysterically at the fact that we were screaming at each other. I made the comment several times this week going, when I say that's the gold, it's not that it has a monetary value. That's what I want people to take away. I want people to take away from the existence of this channel that you can have two people diametrically opposed on a position, both of them having legal merit and knowledge and intelligence, and still be fast friends and respect each other enough that they're still like best of friends. Like
for example, we could disagree strongly on whether or not following a map, like it will. By the way, did you see the guy who just got arrested and charged for that?
I did. I did.
I'm just gonna call that victory. Because I think that's the right call. If you're just following your GPS and it leads you to drive into a river, that's on you. That's dangerous on your end.
It's the point.
How obvious is the river?
Oh God, we're not going back here. It's the debates. It's the debates. It's the debates and discussion. And I think that there's a lot of value in that and in doing that. It's just that I want the debates to continue long enough where they remain productive. And I have always found that when I start to gravitate towards anything of that political discussion, that the productivity of those debates quickly drops off a cliff. It drops off a cliff. It's like you can have a discussion and it can get railroaded so fast because the emotionality that is injected into these discussions largely by, and there was a question here. Where was it? I actually want to pull this up because I want to make sure that we're doing this in a timely fashion. So when we go to the next topic, we're not coming back to this. Why do I hate politics? I grew up, I lived in the DC area from middle school on.
I'll do it.
I've known too many politicians. We've known too many. Every one of them, every single one of them. And it's like the practice is just inherently corruptible. And what I have noticed more and more frequently is that they realize that they're hated. So what they do is they weaponize their hate. And the reason why it's so difficult to have productive discussions down that is because of that past weaponization. It gets so
Right.
emotional, so fast, and so off the rails. You have a hard enough, it's hard enough to have a one-on-one discussion with somebody on a political topic. Imagine having a discussion with 1,000 people.
Mm.
This comment, Mary Coppola, the chat in Maya's trial on law and crime is vicious on a daily basis. It gets feisty. People are getting blocked. It gets so feisty that I saw Law and Crime start nuking accounts from their chat, like in the swath, like chats were just
Like-
they super modded a bunch of people and chats just started disappearing because the opinions that were flowing in that chat were getting real toxic. Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
great comment, and I would tell people this is really important. When I watch Kurt, I gnash my teeth and grumble. Unfortunately, he is very bright and often makes sense despite the fact I disagree with so much of what he says. It's why I keep watching.
It's nice.
That is a nice compliment. That's a remarkable compliment. It's the fact that you can appreciate the knowledge that someone else possesses and their ability to deliver that information, that while you hate the information, you respect the person who's delivering it because it's a logical interpretation of that. Yeah.
And that makes me very
Uh,
happy. As long as you can follow my train of thought, and it's coherent, then it's like, I've done a good job today.
Yeah, Shiraz echoes in as well. I really appreciate the coverage of the Paxton case. I watched to learn. You taught well. That's bingo. I think
Thank
that's a politics comment. Vez, it's hard to be impartial or you chat when you're not in the law and used to it. I know. And I try to respect the fact that people have opinions. Lady Law Sandra, how do legal assistant and paralegals contribute for each and one of you?
A good
I've-
assistant is essential, and they basically have saved my life on a bunch of
Mm.
occasions.
Miracle workers.
A previous assistant, sadly, I'm not at the firm that he's at anymore, but I give this example as like a wonderful assistant is I was off in the town of Fort McMurray, and Fort McMurray is way up northern Alberta, and I was driving, so there's big areas of dead zones because you're driving through rural middle of nowhere. And so I'm driving and I stop at this little tiny town, but this tiny town has cell reception, and I've got a whole bunch of messages, and I'm going, oh crap, this is a bad thing. So it's about 5:00 at night at this point, which means past filing deadlines. And like the first message is, hey, the Crown called. You don't have your charter notice on this. They say they don't have your charter notice on this document, which is a notice that you have a deadline. And if you don't get that deadline in, if you don't get it in by deadline, you're screwed. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I sent that in, but I guess let's listen to the next message. He's like, hey, still haven't heard from you. Could you get back to me? And I'm going, oh crap. And the next message was, hey, I pulled the file and I found your charter notice. So I sent it into the Crown and I refiled it. Did I do okay? Let me know. And I was like, thank God, because he saved my
Yeah.
life, right? And
miracle workers.
Yep, he just knew what to do, did it, got it in by the deadline. Fantastic. Best, or one of the best assistants I've ever had.
Mhm.
And I got to say, anybody mistreats my assistant, like you get an angry client and I'll tell them, like, listen, if you're pissed off, and people are pissed off all the time in criminal law because it's like, I got arrested. This is your fault. And it's like, really? Was I the guy who sold drugs to an undercover again? Like, it's not my fault. But I'm like, listen, if you're pissed off, you can yell at me, but you do not get to yell at my assistant under any circumstances, or I will fire you.
Oh, I had that discussion. I had a discussion like that this week. And it was about as pleasant as you can imagine. It was a lot of yelling.
Yeah.
From me in the other direction. Because that's what you pay me to do. I'm your attorney. I'm
Like,
supposed to
I have
advise
brought you the gift of yelling.
well, I'm supposed to advise you. And when you're doing something that I will not tolerate, I'm gonna set you straight. All right. Going back, I wish to give the Georgia case to Judge Manning. That would be fascinating. Island Kurt's been preparing to live stream this trial of a former president his whole life. He's made for this. Mary Coppola.
That might actually be accurate.
I think it might be. Mary Coppola, I thought he liked his shorts and hoodie. Speaking to SBF, I think he did. Gwendolyn, good question. Isn't this the guy that was intimidating witnesses while he was out on bail? Yes. Isn't that why those bail was revoked? Also, yes. Or am I thinking someone else? No, same person.
That's it.
Now,
that's the guy.
Here's the thing I really didn't see coming is that a guy who looks like Sam Bankman-Fried would get dinged for witness intimidation. Because he does not look intimidating.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be good at it or successful. The fact you tried is enough.
He gets the "you tried" label of, or gold star sticker of jail.
Yeah. It's called attempt. Guess what?
Yeah.
Going down, baby.
Do I think he will take the stand?
Oh man, hopefully not. He's not that stupid, is he?
I mean, he's tried to steal everything else.
If he does, I am going to find a way to get into that freaking courtroom. If he takes the
transcripts
stand,
eventually, it'll be great.
I know the I want to watch that movie. I know I want to watch it. I don't want to read it. I want to watch it. I want to watch it play out. I can't just live vicariously through
road trip to New York.
That
you want to go road trip to New York?
I'll
go with you.
I will do that. I will do that. I will circulate the notice, and we can try to get as many seats in that courtroom as possible. Because if it gets announced that he's taking the stand, oof, oh my God, I cannot even imagine.
It might have to be a very last minute thing because it's like they're going to wait till the last minute and be like, take the stand. We're going to have to like pull this off overnight or something. It's going to be a long drive to New York.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would. Watching I-5, could the people that interviewed SBF be brought up as witnesses? No, because it's not making a, I guess they could, because a prior inconsistent statement isn't necessarily under oath. Yeah, they could if he disputes it. But they could also use the interview itself or the article publishing the interview. They could use that to impeach him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's no shortage of quotes that he made. I mean, we talked about this back when the bankruptcy originally got filed. Way back when in November, I remember sitting on a live stream with Kurt, Ian, myself, and others going, why is he talking?
And the answer is because he dumb. Because he real dumb.
Yep. Lay Drake didn't realize this until today, but FNF began a year ago on August 20th. Happy belated FNF anniversary. I didn't realize that either. That's awesome. Cool. The year of FNF. Ohio Palm Mom, this is ridiculous. I agree. Nanner, am I correct? This will not be streamed. You are correct. It's federal court. Federal court is not live streamed, and access to cameras is not allowed. So you won't even get pictures from in there. It'll be rendered.
It'll be sketch artists.
Sketches.
And the sketch artists are my favorite thing. I gotta say.
For Sam Bankman-Fried,
I love how they do Sam Bankman-Fried, because it's like, here's his weasel head, and then like scribble, 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 scribble.
Hang on, I think I can, because the chat probably doesn't know. Sam Bankman-Fried courtroom sketch. Oh my gosh, it pops up on Google almost immediately. Let's just go ahead and share this because it is worth looking at, because my word, it is
hilarious.
They're all great. They're all glorious.
They do him. They do this man. Like, what is that?
They do him as he deserves, which is dirty as all hell.
Look at his hair. Ridiculous.
I don't even know what to say. It's like, or was it this one? Oh, this one's Ted. So that hair, there's this one.
Yeah, it's just,
how does that look like that person?
They look very similar. Maybe darker skin tone, but
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
That one looks like a D&D monster. He looks like he's got 2 hit dice and like drops copper.
I mean, the sketch artist renderings. Oh, that's a good one. Hair's not curly enough. It's not bad. Oh my gosh, could you make him look like more of a villain in a sketch?
I mean, they could try a little harder.
Lawyers arguing. But it was always this one for me. Like, really? Like, he's not running a cartel. Like,
That doesn't look like he's running a cartel. It looks like he's running,
look at
I don't know.
They make him look 19 times bigger than he is.
he looks
So,
like
yeah,
he's
the
about
sketch-
to make me a sale on a very old used Toyota of some kind.
Yes, exactly.
Either way, yeah, no, it's not gonna be streamed. Married couple, I'd pay money to see him testify. I think I would too. Christy Richardson, have you seen a lawsuit because one rancher bleached Alex Shapes and another rancher's cows because they kept getting his property?
That's funny.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Ian, are you noting this?
Christy Richardson, send me that. I'm not even kidding. I want you to send me that.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm clipping the legal assistant permission part and posting on my school site with your permission. You can clip.
I'm
I have no
down.
problem with that. They're lifesavers. They it's amazing what they do. Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, love y'all. Random question because I'm having homemade apple pie while enjoying the stream. But what's y'all's favorite type of pie? I'm cherry.
Strawberry rhubarb is objectively the best pie.
Yeah.
If you're using real key lime pie.
Key lime pie is a solid choice. I will give you that.
Classic cherry whipped cream or vanilla ice cream. That's the way I go.
Once
That's
again,
my
Rob
rock.
is wrong. Strawberry rhubarb.
Apple silver. Pad kid poured curd pulled cod.
Okay.
That's odd.
Sure.
It sounds like, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like trying to get you to say some key words for their phonetic value. So like we could simulate your voice or something. Like those exact words have the right phonetics for some sort of voice simulation. I think you might have my voice is my password. Can you verify me, please? Yeah.
I'm not going to say it
Nobody?
again because I feel like I'm going to say it accidentally. I don't want to say it.
it.
The Dragon
Speakers?
Space.
Nobody? Bueller?
Thanks for the distractions during my worst week. I'm sorry you've had a bad week. I'm glad for offering the distraction. Let's go ahead and do a swoopy swoop. Swoopy swoop. Keep holding. Hold.
Warning. You gotta give me warning so I can do the face.
Wait. New swoop.
Thank you.
I don't know why that's one of my favorite parts of this show. It's the pre and post swoop. It's one of my favorite parts. All right. So for those of you guys who do not know, where was that? No, not pecan. That's a good idea. Pecan bourbon pie. Yeah, that sounds legit. That sounds legit. DC US 55 need a new swoop. How dare you suggest something that I might want to do? I don't know. I can make it even more exciting. We can see. Okay, so there was a case a while back where we reported on a certain YouTube individual in the great state Commonwealth of Virginia who, well, this YouTuber was a prankster. Classified Goons is the channel of the YouTube. Do not. Here's the thing. Don't follow that trash. Don't do it. It's garbage. It's really garbage. It's stupid. It's one of these people who go and they
the
prank
kind of thing
people.
that YouTube should be just like, we don't want to cover this.
They
Crap.
they should find a nice place in the sun and drop kick it to that. Right? Okay. Yeah.
Maybe
don't follow
not
that
so
garbage.
nice.
Yeah. It should just not exist. Anyways, this prankster decided he wanted to run a prank on someone at a
And
Target.
when we say prankster, it should rhyme with douchebag in your voice, or
Yeah.
when you listen to it.
Yeah.
But anyways, they decided that they wanted to pull a prank on someone in Dulles Town Center, just outside of where I live. And they approached the person in Target, continued to follow them, and said person turns around and shoots him. Well, that went to trial. And lo and
Now,
behold,
was it lethal or non-lethally shot?
non-lethal shooting.
So it's
person
not a
recovered.
happy story.
He's still out making trash, but
He
and it's
didn't
one of
learn
those
his
things
lesson
where
after being shot.
This one's tough for me because it's a tough legal question. Like you're being an a-hole, but does that mean you get the right to shoot somebody?
I'm going
I
to go
don't
with
know.
yes.
Of course you do. But that went to
Just-
trial this week, and the jury did not convict the man. Now, I have an issue, and I'm going to share some of these articles. I'm going to share the headlines. And I want to kind of put them in order of, are you kidding? To
This is not the
was
first time this has happened, by the way, by any means, where one of these YouTube prank channels decides to pull a prank and doesn't let the person they're pulling the prank on know. Incidentally, a lot of the prank channels are fake for this reason, because there's an agreement in advance and it's just a skit, which, fair enough, but some of the people don't know some of the channels are skits, and they're like, let's do it for real. And my personal favorite example of this that I was covering, I was talking about this in the pre-show. There was two YouTubers who were like, what would be really good for our YouTube channel to help make it grow? What if we faked an armed robbery with knives? Now, you see, the key is they didn't tell anyone they were going to do this.
oh my god.
So they went into a business with knives and faked.
What kind of business was it?
It was a children's play place. It's one of those businesses that exists for the purpose of having places for children to play. So they have ball pits or whatever else they have
So-
that children can
so-
go play in the ball
Yeah.
pits.
In
or
what
whatever.
state did this take place?
I forget what state this happened in, but yeah, it's a children's play place. And so the two YouTubers went in and faked an armed robbery in the children's play place with the knives. And one of the people, who was a concealed weapons holder, shot and killed one of them
Yes.
because, they
Defense
didn't
of
know
others.
it was a prank because it looked suspiciously real. So thus ended that, F around and find out. So yeah,
That
don't
sounds
do
like
that.
some finding out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, don't do that.
Well, let's go to the person who you would imagine that might share the article headline and be the least direct about it. Huffington Post. HuffPost, known worldwide for their accurate reporting on everything.
Uh-huh.
And
That's what I think of when I think of HuffPost. Uh-huh.
You will see that they cite something. They cite the AP.
Okay, let's start.
The jury acquits the man who shot YouTube prankster at the mall food court. However, when I go to the AP, what does the AP's headline read? The jury acquits the delivery driver of the main charge in shooting of YouTube prankster.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not the same thing.
No, they're not.
They're not. They're not. One of them is intended to inflame a lot of people and get a lot of clicks. How could they possibly acquit? Now, both of
let's
these
discuss
headlines are misleading.
Let's discuss the facts. Maybe that would help inform us as to why the jury came to that conclusion.
Well, in both of these, every headline on this is misleading. Every headline is misleading because every headline Fortune. Delivery driver who shot is acquitted on main charge. At least they said main charge. Insider. Delivery driver who shot YouTuber who was pranking him said it was justifiable self-defense, and jury agreed. Well, that's pretty freaking misleading. That's misleading because you guys see the burden shifting, and we'll explain this in a second. There's a whole lot of burden shifting here. Daily News, man who shot YouTube prankster. And you know what? Daily News, not really the best of periodicals, but even they come out and say not guilty of main charge. So before we go forward in discussing this, I am going to give a little disclosure. I am really good friends with someone who was on this jury. I know someone that was on the jury. I am not revealing their name. They're considering whether or not to talk to me about it further or talk openly on the channel about it. But I am allowed to kind of talk about, because there's no gag order. Once the trial is done, they can talk. They're allowed to talk. You have the freedom to speak, especially about what goes on in the jury room. And I was pissed off when I read the articles because I know from this person how the case was presented and I know why they reached a decision, but every article is so disingenuous about the legal standard, the burden, etc. So yeah, I will very likely be able to talk anonymously about this person. And I'm probably not going to go much further than that, but they are a very close friend of mine. Let me speak to the charges themselves, because I didn't really even need to talk to my friend to know why they reached this outcome. When someone pleads, so here's the description. Let's go back to the article.
Mm-hmm.
A jury on Thursday found a delivery driver not guilty in a shooting of a YouTube prankster who followed him around a mall food court earlier this year. Alan Colley, 31, was acquitted of aggravated malicious wounding in the shooting of Tanner Cook, who runs Classified Goons YouTube channel. So this is the charge he was acquitted of: aggravated malicious wounding. That's wounding with an implement of that possible of causing death. The jury was split though on two lesser firearms counts and decided to convict on one and acquit on the other. That happens all the time.
What
Juries
did they convict him of?
Possession, unlawful possession, or I think it was unlawful possession, unlawful discharge.
Okay.
One of the ones that's so clear cut, it didn't matter. April 2nd shooting was at a food court in Dallas Town Center, about 45 minutes west of nation's capital, set off a panic as shoppers fled what they feared to be I'm not going to say that word out loud on YouTube because YouTube. Colley pleaded not guilty and said he was acting in self-defense. Saw this coming. Now, what does acting in self-defense do? When you say I have a defense of self-defense, that then shifts the burden. If you can put forward evidence that say you are justified in making that claim, the burden then shifts to the prosecution. Now the prosecution has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did not do these things in self-defense. They have to disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
That's the issue I have with the article and the headlines and how they're running. The verdict came Thursday after about 5 hours of deliberation. 3 hours in, the jury sent out a note and said they were divided in terms of whether to give the defendant, whether the defendant acted in self-defense. So 3 hours of deliberating, they're saying, I don't know how to rule on this. Judge Matthew Snow called the jury back in around 3:30 and gave them what we call as the Allen charge. Urge them to continue deliberations. What it is basically telling the jury, and the Allen charge is based on a Supreme Court case, Allen, where they tell the jury that the importance of reaching a decision and that deadlock means a whole lot of work went into it that has to be redone and it's a mistrial. The judge basically says, go back, try harder. I can keep you here and make you try harder. They then delivered the verdict at the end of the day. Defense attorney Adam Pullard, I don't know him, but hey, got the W. Said the conviction on the firearm charge is inconsistent with the law, given Colley's acquittal on self-defense grounds. Fascinating argument, but I think that
You might be
this
able
is
to
a
split that.
compromise. It's a compromised verdict.
Yeah, that's true too. And even if
Yeah.
they were inconsistent, at least as a matter of federal law, we wouldn't care.
And it's a compromised verdict. It's one of those
Well,
things where
And inconsistent verdict never wins.
that's the thing, because juries are allowed to go back and do that. Juries are allowed to go back and they're allowed to kind of say,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unspoken, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're allowed to say, I don't want to get this guy on this, but he did wrong. We know we have dead to rights on this. We know we're close on this one. Why don't we do on this and not on that?
Yeah, my personal favorite example of this was when the U.S. Supreme Court said that for felony murder, it was legal for the jury to acquit on the underlying felony, but convict of the felony murder.
Which
Because-
is so
Which is directly, those are as an opposite as you can be. The felony murder necessarily requires the felony, but they acquit on the felony and convict of the felony murder. The Supreme Court's like, yeah, we see no problem with that. At least in part because it's like you don't know, what the jury was thinking and where the jury's mistake was, assuming there was one. You don't know, or why they reached certain decisions. So it's like, as long as the jury could have reached the verdicts they did, then it's like, yeah, it's fine. So it's in the federal system, you can do it even one step further. You can have mutually inconsistent pleading as well as mutually inconsistent verdicts. So at least on paper, you can argue theories that are completely legally inconsistent, and you can have verdicts that are completely inconsistent. Everyone's like, yeah, that's fine.
and Steve A makes a comment. We need to punish him for something. So 1, 2, and 4, no, but 3, yes, because that sounds about right. The funny thing is,
happens
whether that's
all
being
the
made
time.
sarcastic, that is how these things happen, because the evidence that gets presented is so. And if you gave a jury if you basically told a jury, if you took that ability away from a jury, you'd probably see more convictions than acquittals.
I don't know about that.
Depends
know
on the
about
case.
One of the things that was really interesting is it used to be that there was the death penalty for poaching. And the problem that came up was that it was actually really hard to convict people of poaching. So there were trials that were recorded where they literally found the guy with a deer over his shoulder and a bow, and the
I got you,
deer's got an arrow in it, and he's in the forest that you're not allowed to hunt in. And they'd be like, yeah, we're acquitting. And the reason why is because it's this like starving farmer, and they'd go, we are not cool with sending this guy to jail or to the gallows for, just for shooting a deer. So they'd acquit in the face of like, astounding evidence. And yep. And that's a good
So
thing.
the defense attorney said that we're gonna ask the judge to set aside the verdict, the conviction. I don't see that prevailing, regardless of who the judge is. Like, judges are not one to want to set aside jury verdicts because that involves invading the mind of the jury, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Unless there's some
Colley's been-
specific case law that I don't know about.
Yeah, and Virginia, the Virginia Court of Appeals in criminal matters. Holy crap! That is, if you're criminally convicted in Virginia, you don't want to be here criminally convicted, because the Court of Appeals, man, they don't look at the case. They don't look at the case. We got some good judges up on the Supreme Court. Yeah.
You have some thoughts about the Court of Appeals? Would you
I
to
will
share
tell
those
you
thoughts in
this.
detail?
I will look at some of those opinions. It's the same thing as you say about Supreme Court. I will look at some of those opinions and be like, how? Like, they'll say it was wrong, but you know what's right. Like, how? But that's how it works. That's appellate law. Pullard said during Thursday's closing arguments, his client felt menaced by the 6'5" Cook during the confrontation, which was designed to provoke a reaction and to draw viewers to Cook's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Other part about that is there's an element of a likability and a hateability factor among people.
I'm just going to say YouTubers are inherently dislikable.
Yeah, fine.
Now, this is the way you make the argument, though. Cook, Pollard said, is trying to confuse people to post videos. He's not worried that he's scaring people. He keeps doing this. The scaring people. It's the scaring people, because that's if the jury had any belief, and that belief that this person was in reasonable fear of harm, if that belief is not disproven beyond a reasonable doubt, they must acquit. They are required to acquit. Jurors saw the video of the shooting, which captured the confrontation between Cook and Colley, lasting less than 30 seconds. Footage shows Cook, isn't it great what's all on video? Footage shows Cook approaching Colley as he picks up a food order. Cook looms over Colley while holding his cell phone about 6 inches from his face. The phone broadcasts the phrase, "Hey, dips, quit thinking about my twinkle." What? the
What?
fuck? Hey, dips, quit thinking about my twinkle. All right, that's a new one. Multiple times throughout a Google Translate app. In the video, Colley says stop 3 times, tries to back away. This part tries to back away from Cook, who continues to advance. Colley tries to knock the phone away from his face before pulling out a gun and shooting in the lower left chest. There was no pause between the moment he draws the weapon and fires the shot. That's generally the case. You're not pulling it out and pointing. When you pull it out to fire it. In
That's
that
what she
case of
said.
self-defense. Did she, though? I don't know. Prosecutor Ed Holmes said the facts don't support a self-defense argument. The law requires that Colley reasonably fear that he was in imminent danger of bodily harm and that he used no more force than is necessary. That's a proper articulation of that standard. She said Cook's prank was bizarre but not threatening. I can see that, but
Oh no, if you tell someone to stop and they keep advancing on you, even if you tell them to stop, I can reasonably perceive that as a threat.
and
Yeah,
that's
that
the
seems
problem.
threatening to me.
Like, prosecutor, yes, you are saying this, Eden Holmes, but did you prove it? Did you prove that it was bizarre and not threatening? Could a juror in that position reasonably anticipate or perceive this person's actions as being a threat to their bodily harm? And
You have a
did you
person who's
disprove
coming up
that
to you
beyond a
and
reasonable doubt?
asking. I mean, if you look at this in a more objective sense, you have a person which apparently is acting in a mentally deranged, literally insane way. They're not behaving in a way that's incomprehensible. You keep telling them to stop and they keep advancing on you. The idea that this person is mentally unfit and is posing some kind of threat to you is not exactly unreasonable. Now, whether or not you perceive that as a deadly force, I suppose maybe you could have an argument there, but the idea that there's a threat there, it's like this person is, acting very bizarrely.
In your face, and you don't know what they're going to do. And by the way, that "hey dip," that apparently is supposed to say dipshit. Which now I don't just have someone saying something odd, I have someone saying something intentionally provoking
Yeah.
and getting in my face over and over and over again.
When
and
you're
not-
intentionally provocative, sometimes you succeed. So
That's the thing about a lot of these pranks is it's like, oh, I want somebody to actually feel in danger for their safety, but I want to pretend that that's not what I'm doing. And yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, and apparently there's a link in the DMs on Twitter.
I see.
Sean, could you send me that as well? That I would love to have a look at that.
Sean has a YouTube channel, and Sean, I'm curious to see, my friend, what were your thoughts on this? I think this is a failure in prosecution. It's a failure in prosecution.
Is it?
I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
I think
that this
it
is
might
valid
be a failure in the sense of why would
Is
you
it valid
prosecute
self-defense?
this?
Do you think that this is a bona fide? Do you think this is a righteous self-defense claim?
Well, let's watch the video.
that's fair.
That is fair. I'll give a
Let's
trigger
watch the
warning in a
video.
minute. Let me
Because from
see.
the sound of it, it sounds
Let me see. Where did I put that? Sean, you said about the 1 minute mark. All right, I'm going to mute it. Because there's someone talking over it. It's like it's a news broadcast of it. So me playing it doesn't do anything.
yeah, muting it is good.
Share the screen.
Let
All
us
right,
see.
So here's the encounter. Play a game of after I didn't find out. And Sean, I didn't see. Did you send me a chat or tell me in Twitter DM what your thoughts are on this? I'm curious because I don't know. I can see that going either way. And let me see. Playing.
Oh, that's getting right in his face. And you look at, there's two of them. They're pointing at him. They're putting it right in his face. They're being inherently
trying to walk away.
like,
He's trying to walk away.
legit. I wouldn't have charged.
And that's kind of curious to me. So they're in his face.
I wouldn't have filed the charges.
That's
There's two of them. He's outnumbered. They're getting
I
right
know,
in his face.
but
They're following him. They're
it's
very
this
clearly
last-
threatening.
It's this last little bit. That's my one thing. But I think, can I say they disproved it beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't think so.
I think
And you know what? You know what? He's got a bag in his hand. Like, he's got a bag in one hand. He's walking away.
I appreciate how fast he is in that draw. That's a real clean draw, by the way. Just got to say.
Yeah.
What's he
Where
got
did he
there?
have
Like a
that from?
Caltech
That was-
PF9 or something?
I was what? Where did he pull it from too?
Probably his pocket.
Pocket.
Yeah, his
Jacket
pocket. That's a clean
that's
draw,
a
man.
solid draw.
Out of a pocket, nothing hangs up.
I'm wondering if it's hammerless.
Hang on, I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, can we
Yeah,
get in?
Caltech PF9 or maybe a 380.
Like, what's he running there?
Yeah, looks
Go
like a-
back on that
looks like-
draw. A little further back there. That wasn't from his pocket.
That's not his
he's got a
pocket.
holster. He's
That's
got a
exposed
holster.
That's an exposed holster too. That's not
Good for
beneath
him.
the belt line. That's outside.
Good for him.
That person's
This is somebody who's who's got sense.
that's a wow.
Respect.
Yep. No, that
Okay.
I think he's 100% in the clear.
That's interesting to me. I feel like
He's
I
got draw
saw
practice,
that
he's got-
video.
Does it say what gun it is? Because I think it's either a Caltech PF9 or a Caltech P3AT.
I don't know.
I want
I'll
to see
tell
how
you in
good
a
my
second.
gun foo is.
Tanner Cook.
Can I identify the
100%.
firearm from a really shoddy? Can I identify it from a really shoddy grainy photo?
I mean, the only thing wrong with that is maybe he could have aimed a little better.
It's a weird charge, man. I don't know. I'm almost with you. Do I think as a prosecutor looking at that again, if I'm looking at that, do I think as a prosecutor that I can disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt?
I wouldn't charge it.
The answer to the
The
question
only trial
someone's
that should
asking,
have happened is the
No.
lawsuit where the delivery driver files a lawsuit for the cost of the ammunition.
Yeah.
Oh God. I was of a mind about this, and I'm starting to see the defense's case.
Here's the other thing, though. The guy's got an outside the waist holster, right? And these two guys would have been casing people to see who to do this to. They picked a dude with a gun.
He
That
might have been hidden
is,
by his jacket.
I feel like it would take a lot for it to be hidden by his jacket. I feel like this is peak fuck around.
That draw is too clean for it to be hidden by the jacket.
Well, you can see he actually nudges the jacket up as he pulls it up. It's real freaking clean. Real smooth.
And Sean's input was Sean, by the way, is potentially a criminal who's in the chat. He has another YouTube channel. He's a criminal defense lawyer in Ohio. He says you can hear them talking. They stop to allow the audio to come through. The guy is getting chased by a relatively bigger guy who's acting super creepy. Might not be self-defense as much as Cook isn't sympathetic. I'm fine with the self-defense claim. I think
it's
that
self-defense.
There's good cause to raise the defense. They had enough to raise the defense. And once you raise that defense and you have enough to raise it, burden shifts to prosecution. Now they have to disprove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
And there's two, like, he's outnumbered, he's outsized, and they're right in his face, and they're not letting him get distance.
Yeah, I'm with the jury.
I wouldn't have convicted him on anything. I don't think I'd be like, goodbye.
I can see how, here's the thing. I can see how a jury,
Apparently he was a member of USCCA 2 weeks before the incident. That's cute. That's awesome.
Did they pay for his defense?
Yeah.
Wow. 2 weeks. Man,
well, the membership turned out real valuable real fast.
You know what they should be doing? They should be putting that in all of their marketing materials. This guy, 2 weeks, he was with us, and we stepped up.
Maggie, when the first story was released of this, I didn't have the video. It's the article, and it's the description of the witnesses on scene, and you're going, this sounds weird. I don't know if it can work.
I 100% works.
Watching that video and seeing the size and seeing
because he's a big dude.
And you know what? I don't think, there are these claims that you have there. You call it righteous self-defense, right? Where it's remarkably clear. Like, this is 100%, 1000% self-defense, and it's justified.
I think this guy meets all the criteria. Quite frankly.
So, this is where Ian and I are going to disagree a little bit, and I think that's fine. I'm not to the point where I think he meets the criteria. I'm at a point where the prosecution didn't disprove it.
I'm at the point where he meets the criteria 100%. Even if the burden was on him, I'd acquit. And let me walk you through it here. He's got two guys who are threatening. There's a third guy who's clearly with them because he's filming.
So you don't know, and the context
he's got a further position on you. You're surrounded. He's trying to move away. So he's retreating. He's an innocent, right? He's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing crime. He's not anything like that. He is, he's the outmasked party. I just, and the big thing is he's trying to retreat, right? He's trying to back away. He's trying to be like, let me out of this. It's only when it's very clear that they're not going to let him and they're being very aggressive. And the thing is let's say these guys are there to do him harm, right?
Why charge it? Why charge it? Where did they try to plea him down?
This is Northern Virginia, right?
Yeah, but did they try to plea him down?
Oh no,
Northern
Virginia.
If it's on Loudon possession, it's Loudon County.
Yeah, no wonder they charged him. It's Loudon County. What are you talking about?
Loudon County didn't used to be that way, and
it is now.
That's Buda Bibri.
let's look at this. Let's assume these two guys are actually there to do him harm. If he waits another second, he might have been on the ground getting his head kicked in. I think he took exactly the right. And I mean, the thing is, the guy's a delivery driver, right? He's vulnerable. Delivery drivers get robbed all
that
the
was
time.
the comment that I was making about the carrying the bag and the frame of mind, because it's not just that it's an average person walking and being tormented. It's someone he's used to having only one hand available. He's used to being a delivery driver in Northern Virginia during a time when you've got a lot of stupid stuff happening. Huh. I wouldn't have charged it. That's an
I wouldn't have
overcharge.
Yeah,
I would have uncharged unlawful possession. Like if it was unlawful, because I think that's what I got him on.
You know what? I probably would have said, hey, it's unlawful possession, but we're going to just call it on this one. I would have looked into seeing what charges you could lay to Buddy Boy. I would have charged him with the assault there.
Yeah, but the thing is, here's the thing from the prosecutor standpoint. The prosecutor standpoint, if you were to appropriately charge that, if you appropriately charge that as unlawful possession, the attorney says take the plea. Because if the only charge on the table is unlawful possession, then you don't get to bring in a lot of the stuff about you don't get to assess the threat. You don't get to assess a lot of that. It's unlawful possession. It's pretty open shut.
But the job isn't to get a conviction. The job is to serve justice. And I don't think that prosecuting this guy serves justice. I would have been like, welcome back to safety. Like, welcome back to being alive, dude who got shot. You will notice you're handcuffed to the hospital bed. That's because you're being charged for your actions in this offense.
I may have to take back the idea that USCCA actually stepped up, because it appears he has a public defender. So I guess they abandoned him. So yeah, apparently they declined to cover him.
Because USCCA, aren't they one of them that they're the ones that assess the merits before they decide to appoint?
Yeah, it's coverage only covers lawful act of self-defense. So they're like, it's not lawful act. So USCCA didn't step up for him.
It was found to be lawful. So that's
well, and Lidichi, what if it was a female? That changes the analysis in a very significant way. It completely changed the analysis, because now you're not looking at the reasonable apprehension or reasonable perception from the eyes of a 6 foot tall male. Now you're looking at it from the eyes of a female of whatever build that female is.
Same thing if the guy's 80 or
I think popcorn shooter. The popcorn shooter, that case in Florida, the righteous that was self-defense acquitted, because the dude was a lot less. Yeah.
Yep. And all of that's relevant, right? How much are you in fear? Like,
right.
What did they get him on? No, because I'm getting notes that he had a CCP. If you can't have a CCP if you. What did they do?
It might be that the mall was a no gun zone.
Oh, it might have been.
Probably.
Wait, let me look this up. I'm gonna look this up real quick, because it's gonna be on the disposition sheet.
But I mean, this guy wasn't out there like. I hate the just a prank bro thing, because not half the time.
Oh, you're
almost
gonna
invariably the just a prank bro.
You're gonna hate this part. Then go ahead and read that. I'm gonna pull up the dispo sheet.
Almost always the just a prank bro is actually committing crimes.
Yep.
So
you can't just say it's just a prank and therefore it become legal. Just in
Keep
case you need
reading.
me to tell you that. Yeah, and he's still doing the videos, which he earns $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
And he's pretending to vomit on Uber drivers. Like that sounds to me like an assault.
Battery.
Yep. I mean, heck, if I was, if you move me over into prosecutions, one of the things I'm probably looking at is like, okay, you know what? Maybe we should go and just start looking at YouTube and just see how many of these prank channels are just straight up committing crimes and just bring them in. There was that kid in the UK who kept, assaulting people and breaking into their homes and that kind of thing. And I'm like, why the hell do we tolerate this just because somebody says it's just a prank? These guys are criminals for profit. Let's call it what it is. Criminality for money. Send them to a hole until they can be decent citizens, which is probably never. But,
that weighs into the jury's consideration if you're watching that video. Oh, yep, it was discharged within a dwelling. That's what it was. Let me share this real quick.
This isn't a dwelling.
Within a building. It's a building. 18.2279. That's what that's what the conviction was on of the charges. If any person maliciously this is what a compromise verdict is. That's what it is. Like, you can't get to one standard without the other, but this is a compromise verdict. I don't know that they can set it aside, though. Discharge a firearm within any building when occupied by one or more persons in such a manner as to endanger the life or lives of such person or persons, or shoots at, throws any. Dude, we still have this in the code. Or maliciously throws any missile at or against any dwelling or other building. We have. Okay.
A missile is just anything you throw, though.
It's
yes.
a projectile, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why not just say projectile? Why does it have to be a missile?
Because missile was the language of the time, which was like 1812.
Okay, then there's the aggravation if it results in death. It's a class 4 felony. If done unlawfully but not maliciously, class 6.
So he's guilty of a felony?
Class 6 felony is not really significant.
It is really significant if you're a gun owner.
That's correct. Huh.
I mean, he's going to lose his gun for shooting a guy who kind of needed shooting there.
That's tough.
I mean, the real sad thing on this one is that it could have had a happy ending. If he'd aimed a little better.
Oh, God.
And if the prosecutor had decided not to pursue this, then a whole lot of people could be spared random assaults. A whole lot of people are going to be randomly assaulted because this guy's out there not getting prosecuted.
The fact that this asshole, I'm sorry.
No, you correctly called it.
The fact that this asshole is still out making YouTube prank videos. Bro.
Yeah, no, he didn't learn. He didn't learn.
Shot. You got shot.
And you deserved it. And maybe next time they'll put one in your skull and the world will be a better place.
Well, that's an opinion that this channel doesn't embrace. That is the opinion of Ian Runkle and Runkle the Bailey. I don't really know that I ever really embraced that opinion entirely.
This guy's a for-profit criminal who goes and commits personal injury offense or
he does
attacks against people.
He does, and I'm all for a good old-fashioned ass whooping.
I mean, I'd be charging him as your YouTube channel is a gang because you work together to commit criminal offenses for money. Fuck all y'all. Life in prison. Let's make that happen.
All right.
Give him RICO charge. RICO charge.
Switching sides. He's going to start working for the Crown any moment now.
God, man. But the part is
fuck all
weird.
Y'all.
Like
for jail forever. We'll make it happen.
Oh no, Rob's not soft. Rob's not soft. Rob's trying to process this in a fashion that's I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying to remain impartial here. I can see how the self-defense claim is not. It's not locked up. Let me tell you this. I wouldn't want to be in the defendant's position. I would want better facts. If I was a defendant, I would want better facts. I would want better facts. Then they wouldn't have charged me, period. But now that I see that video and knowing that the prosecutor went with it, it's like, yeah. Dread Private Wesley has a comment that I love. Because it's the elf comment, shout out, call out. This is why Runkle isn't allowed to have the one ring. Yes, Runkle the elf is not allowed to have the one ring because they could make the world beautiful and powerful. Yeah. Oh God, now the chat's chiming in. Manders, don't encourage him. Manders, thank you for the super chat. Runkle, you have my bow. Oh, yeah. I now see it, and if I'm the prosecutor, I don't know why I bring it. Your prosecutor was lucky they got out of that with one.
They
I
charged
guess
the
you could
wrong
argue.
dude.
I guess you could argue that it wasn't. You guess you could make. You could at least make a credible argument that he didn't have an objective fear of death or grievous bodily harm.
That's the point that I'm making. You have the argument that you have a credible argument that he was not in that position. He wasn't in a state of grievous bodily harm or death in the moment that he took that shot.
Disagree.
I see the credible argument. No, I see an argument that says that there are facts sufficient to support that claim. You do not have facts sufficient to disprove or to make that disproven. Did I say that right? The burden is appropriately laid on the prosecutor's feet. They have to disprove self-defense.
Yep.
I don't know how you get to that. I don't know how you disprove self-defense with that video.
Well, it sort of eats its own tail a little bit, because in the objective standard, to disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt, you need to prove that the reasonable person beyond a reasonable doubt would not fear death or grievous bodily harm. And the fact of the tape is self-evident. So
Three
then
people.
the ultimate question is then just one for the jury. It's like, do you think under this circumstances, the objective person, which by the way is you, the jury, do you think that there's a beyond a reasonable doubt that there's no fear of death or grievous bodily harm? And I think a reasonable jury could reach that conclusion. Let me put you this way: if they convicted, I don't think the appeal court could do anything about it.
Correct. I agree with you, Kurt.
I'd agree with you there, but
I agree with you. If they convicted,
because there is sufficient information from which a reasonable jury could draw the conclusion.
Yes,
that this is not within the objectively reasonable.
Yep, that's the right way to approach it. Is would an appeals court, if the person was convicted, would the appeals court have any grounds to overturn it? And I don't see how they could.
Yeah, could you say that there's not sufficient information for the jury to call that conclusion, that it was no reasonable jury could reach that conclusion? And I think the answer is no. And this is why Andrew Bronca will tell you that even on the best days, I forget what number he puts on it. Yep. I think he says 5%, but I might be misquoting him. But he says there's something like a 5% chance the jury's going to convict you no matter what, just because the defendant's sitting over there. And it's like, something in that neighborhood. And you've said as much as well, Ian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the other thing is there's this common line. People say, oh, well, it's better if the guy dies because then he can't speak out at the trial. He can't testify. And I'm like, I kind of think usually the opposite. And the reason why is that most of the people who end up as the recipient of a bullet in a self-defense shooting, most of them are actually harmful to the prosecution's case.
Like this guy. Like this guy.
I would love to have this guy as an opposing witness. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run through every prank video where he's been a giant ass.
And what I'm going to do especially is everyone since then.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick all the ones where, I'm going to pick the ones that are not even remotely funny. And, his worst hits. And I'm just going to be like, hey, doesn't that woman look scared?
I'm going to pick ones where there's physical contact.
Yep.
Where someone swings at him or he makes a touching. I'm going to pick every video where that person touches one of the people he's pranking. Or boxes their car in. Or puts them in a place where they can't get out of. I'm going to pick all of those. I'm going to play every single one of them.
No, I don't understand what you're talking about right now, because you're trying to use incidents from the past to speak to this incident. I don't understand.
If I can get it in, I'm getting it in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
is
but
you're-
I never let it in because
You
it's
wouldn't.
all
Do
propensity.
you think I'm not going to try?
I'm going to turn you down.
It's
The
fine.
thing is-
You're not the judge in that moment. I'm going to try.
you
I'm
don't
gonna
tender it for
try.
propensity. You
Pull
tender it for
every
credibility.
argument out of
You
my
get the guy
ass.
to
Oh yeah.
you sucker him into making a statement like, "Oh, I'd never touch somebody," and then you're like, "Okay, let's run 25 videos where you just touch somebody."
Well,
you
at
lying
that
sack
point,
of crap.
I'm at that point. I'm not offering it for evidence, Your Honor. I'm merely offering it for the purposes
Yeah.
of impeachment.
Exactly.
And the
not offering
jury,
it
of
for-
course,
I'm
knows
offering it-
not
So,
to.
yes. So
Yeah,
that's where I, as the
exactly.
jury, that's where, as
So,
I, as the
yeah.
judge, give the instruction. This is not offered for liability, but merely for credibility, and the jury completely understands the distinction.
Exactly.
Yes.
Kurt. Now you have gone successfully from appellate lawyer where you were to trial lawyer where Ian and I are. Like, I'm getting it in. I'm finding a way.
Okay. Yeah,
And
well,
that's the thing is, I don't think this guy is smart enough to avoid the
Yeah.
landmines that I can
He'll
set
walk
for
right
him on
into
that.
it.
Well,
He'll
well,
say,
counsel,
"I've
you
never
made the
threatened
counsel,
anybody
you made the right
physically."
argument. So the judge had to agree because counsel made the right
Like,
argument.
I would literally ask
I'm a
him.
fair
I would
judge.
literally here. 20th Century Fox. Great question. Are post indictment videos allowed in? It depends. If I get that
depends
person on
on
the stand, and if I ask him, "Have you ever physically threatened somebody?" and he says no,
Oh yeah, no, then you're toast.
Then-
you're toast.
fair game. I can pull up
Yep.
something he did yesterday,
I-
and I don't
I
have
still
to disclose it
I
previously.
still
I can
can't-
bring it in.
I still can't allow it in as evidence. But if you want to offer it for the purposes of attacking credibility,
Sure,
well, that's just perfectly fine.
I know.
Yeah, the jury will totally understand that. That's what we all believe in our mind, even though we all know the truth. It's okay.
And there was a point that was made earlier that was this dude is he's still monetized.
Yeah,
He's still
aren't we not
monetized.
supposed to do that anymore? Russell Brand.
He's still
Yeah,
monetized.
I mean, YouTube's monetization and demonetization baffles me because I have had videos demonetized because, like, a guy who I was commenting on used the hard R N word and then got punched in the face. And so I had to censor that before YouTube would be like, okay, fine. They demonetized and then remonetized videos which were a police interrogation where the guy talked about running people down with a van. And I'm like, okay, that's like police interrogation video. But then they go and they allow, like, and they will demonetize. Well, they'll not just demonetize, they'll kill your channel if I bring on a gun to be like, this is a new gun I bought. Let me show you that it's unloaded. It's all good. Let me just talk about this firearm. Or if I live stream at the range, where I'm
Yep.
at the range, I'm, every safety precaution that you can take. And I'm just like, yeah.
And that was a caveat. Some of the people in the chat had a question about earlier. Is like, can you show the gun on stream? Yes. It is not a live firearm. I'm not pulling out a live firearm and showing it to you on stream. I am replaying a video that I have previously viewed or know what the subject is. And that's the difference. Like, I'm not allowed to pull out a live firearm that's sitting 20 feet away from me and show it to you on stream.
The reason why YouTube set that rule up was that they had a few instances.
Yeah,
where
I
somebody had a
know. We don't have,
desktop.
yeah.
So
Accidental
But I mean-
discharge in a very unfortunate. Yeah.
But they should literally, they should take steps with people who are literally doing crime. Because at the point where YouTube is paying you to crime, that is a problem. And I think
Which is
that there's
what
an
it
argument
is.
for liability on YouTube is paying you to crime. So,
Or advertisers that are putting their ads in there. It's just, what a mess. Isn't the law fun?
no.
The law is fun. It makes me smile
It
every
actually
time.
is. It does,
The law
because
makes
you
me
have,
smile. It makes me fun because it makes me think, and I like it.
well, yeah, because Kurt was like, Kurt looked at when I said I'm getting it in, and Kurt goes, he's looking skeptically. How are you getting that in? You're not getting that in. It's like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
I can
we
get
are.
it in. Like, yeah, I am. So you're thinking,
Well, if he's
appellate attorney,
stupid
I'm
enough
thinking-
to take the stand and he's stupid enough to lie, then well,
Oh, and you know he's
yeah.
dumb enough to do. I mean, the thing is he doesn't have the choice on taking the stand. He's the, he's the victim. He's compellable.
I can put him up there.
Yep. And
you're going to
Oh,
extract a
God,
statement
I
from
can
him,
call-
probably.
You better
Yeah.
believe
Probably,
that's
yeah.
if I'm the defense.
Your odds of
it's my
getting it
first
in are
damn
going
witness.
up with every passing moment, Rob.
My first damn witness. Oh yeah, I'm getting that video in. And now I can really.
oh yeah, I'm going to town on him in trial.
All right.
That's where, as the judge, I'm really tempted to be look over the witness and be like, "Are you sure?" Where he says, "No, I've never done that before." I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Sir, is that your final answer? Is that your final
Would
answer?
you like to phone a friend?
I'm gonna give you a freebie. I'm gonna put 3 buttons in front of you. One of them is phone a friend. Another one is a hint, and the third one is a I decline to answer because Fifth Amendment. Hit one of the buttons, please.
Yeah.
I would laugh if somebody on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire went, went and pled the fifth on that. I decline to answer this question on the basis of the Fifth Amendment. They're like, we're not the government, right? So yeah.
Well, and now that I'm looking at this video again and looking at these article headlines, I'm going, I mean, I thought the media was trash to begin with.
Oh yeah,
Now looking
they're
at
trash.
now looking at it again, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. You're not doing any of the report. I mean, the AP is the closest to neutral in this entire explanation. What the hell? Huh.
Don't subscribe to classified goons. They're
No,
jerks.
don't do that. Don't go watch the channel either. Cam, I saw this question earlier. Do you go to Conference Out West? I don't. I don't know. I don't. They're state specific, so not really. So there's $1 million question. Why is YouTube allowed to put ads on content they demonetize?
Good question.
That's a very curious question, Diane. Very curious indeed. I am not one that can answer that question, but
because YouTube likes money.
Doesn't have an answer to that question. That's really that other than because that's their answer to that question. Okay, so
because
going
they
through
set the
super chats.
policies, so they get to decide how they work.
Yeah, and I'm gonna run through super chats because, and this is gonna be a shorter FNF because I have been doing the take care of my recaps every day.
Who's
Holy
taking
smokes.
care of you, Rob? That's the real question.
Me, my axe, my hatchet.
That's
love
the
you,
wrong
Rob.
axe.
I know the other one's here. You know, my niece had a Little House on the Prairie birthday, and people were dressed up as Little House on the Prairie. And my brother shows up dressed up like
You've got
lumberjack.
2 axes?
And everyone, and I did not bring them. I didn't bring them. And I was going, why? How did I forget that I have these 2 hatchets that I can bring?
And you've kind of got a lumberjack look.
And the lumberjack look, like that was an opportunity missed. But I did give her she turned 9. And I gave her a pen that I turned made of colored pencils.
I saw that.
Yep. And I made some additional blanks that you're going to kick out of this. So additional blanks. Focus. My camera never complies. All little cut up pieces. Colored pencil bits.
Mm-hmm.
The resin poured in between. Glow in the dark epoxy.
Ooh.
So I have a green one and a blue one that are the cut up pencil bits that glow in the dark. And then I got some more glow in the dark blanks, green and blue with the wood.
Awesome.
I have some of this stuff, but I gave her a pencil and I was like, oh, that's really pretty. It's really cool. But I should have dressed up like a lumberjack. That was an opportunity missed. Totally missed it. But yeah, so there are several people that are in there saying, ooh, okay, yeah. All right. Catching up with super chats. Let me go here. How do I pronounce that? This is my brain being done with the evening. It's trying to figure out how to spell words and say words.
Hmm.
I-
Same words
J1
are hard.
J1 third. Sure. Strawberry rhubarb 100%. Bless you, my fellow Canuck. Roxy Carson, thank you. My husband's favorite pie is sour cream and raisin.
What?
Wait, what? What?
What?
What? Wait,
What?
I'm gonna borrow. Ian and I both stole Kurt's line. What?
So
Sour cream and raisin. Is that a real fucking pie?
No.
It's a real fucking pie.
No.
It's a real pie.
my wife occasionally will eat cheese, like grilled cheese and jam sandwiches. Just because somebody out there eats it doesn't mean it's actually food, though.
I mean, some criminal defendants eat brick.
And I make hot sauce that is, against the Geneva Conventions. So
You know,
if you use it as a weapon in war.
Roxy, I'm gonna take your husband's word for it. I don't know if I want to go close to this thing. I just looked up pictures. I mean, sure, it's I guess. I don't know. Vez, 20 years of teaching law this year. I hope I do some good to some of them. Vez, thank you for constant contributions, and you do a lot of good.
Some of them you'll do good for by encouraging them to learn things, and some of them you might do good for by getting them to not go on. Different things for different people.
It's a fair point. Apple Silver says that, Rob, that was the world's most difficult tongue twister according to MIT, and you killed it. Nice. Well, I read it 5 times before I said it because trying to figure out what you were trying to get me to say. So, yeah. Distraction. Daryl Brooks went pro se 1 year ago today. Oof. Oof. Oh. And that went about as well for him as it should have, which is incarceration forever. Or the any YouTube prank is how Kim Jong-un's brother was killed. I didn't know that.
Ooh. I think that's a joke.
Is it a joke?
It's
Sure.
got to be, right?
Kim Jong-un's brother, wasn't he killed with the VX gas, or was it sarin gas with the spray in the airport? Was that
It's just a
Kim
prank,
Jong-un's
bro.
Oh no,
Or-
that was how
or-
it was. Was it the
was it
the
VX
thing-
gas out of like a
but it's
kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
nice
it's
device?
the word.
one where
It's the
they-
word that starts with the A and then goes with the SS and then goes with the I and then the other SS.
Yeah, and then they
Or
sprayed him at I remember that.
The spraying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was VX gas at an airport. That's
That's a prank
that
gone
was
wrong.
that's a dark joke. Yeah.
Very dark joke. Very dark joke. Appreciate it. Thank you for my guest for helping me figure that one out. Lady Law Sandra, I actually have an assignment on a jury inconsistent verdict, and I think the jury had it right. McElrath versus Georgia.
Your state law is
Just
going to
writing that
vary.
down.
Yeah, your state law is going to vary.
I know.
Some states don't allow them. The federal government does. So you might be.
But
You'll have to look up your state specific law in Georgia on that one.
And
Yeah,
I'm always
but you
going to
took-
be on the side of whoever's against Georgia.
but you took the time to write it down. So I looked it up. So I'm going to look it up and I'm going to take a look at it. Thank you for writing that. Thank you for saying that. Alice Ann, I love that you avoid politics, Rob. And even though Kurt doesn't and is probably opposite of me, he covers cases honestly and fairly. I've drifted from LawTube creators who have become too biased and political. I think it's all toxic. And I do appreciate the fact that Kurt covers it honestly. And like you said, fairly. If he disagrees, he disagrees. He has his opinions and he expresses them as his opinions. You don't have to agree.
And people are noting it wasn't a joke on the YouTube prank because the people who actually did the spraying were told that it was a YouTube prank.
Oh no.
So that's how they
I
get
did-
the innocence.
I didn't know that part. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting. Lynn, Johnny Somali got arrested in Japan for his nonsense. These pranksters are basically playing stupid games. This one won a stupid prize. Henhouse Bath Company, thank you for being a needed distraction today. My mom passed away unexpectedly last Friday. I'm very sorry for that. Loss of family is unexpected, devastating, and crippling. And I hope that you can still find joy in little things. It's going to be a weird process. It will be a weird process. Cheers to your mom and all that she gave to you, which is you, and all that you give to the world. So glad you're here, Henhouse. Tank Rat. This case makes me think of Cassius Clay back in the 1800s and how different it was then. Step up and pick on a fight with somebody or expect to get knocked out?
I don't understand the antecedent reference here.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? Like,
Well, that part I know.
Bagheera, imagine if they had approached a woman like that.
I'm betting
That's
that they will have.
They
No,
probably
for sure. They
might
absolutely
have.
will. They seem like the kinds that will do it to women. I don't see
Yeah.
any reason why they wouldn't. It'll be even funnier if it's a woman.
Zello's poo. Zello's
Because the
poo.
woman will
Zello's poo?
react so much stronger, and her reaction will be more palpable. It'll be better for the vids.
And I hope she's got a carry piece too.
Hope it's
Remember, people,
If-
aim higher.
and knows how to pull it.
Just
Like,
remember that in the United States, and thank God for this, at least on paper, you can get a concealed carry permit anywhere now, thanks to the U.S. Supreme Court. And if you're in one of the
Yeah.
states that makes it, not completely frivolous, go get an NRA certified instructor, get some basic training, get a concealed carry permit. A lot of great options these days. And,
I want to. There's a couple of states that find that will grant carry permits to non-American or non-Americans.
mhm.
So, as a Canadian, there's a few states that'll grant, and then there's also states that have reciprocity. So, once you get the carry permit in one of those states, there's a bunch of other states where you can carry it with that same permit.
Florida and Utah are they're best for reciprocity. I have a Florida permit in addition to my Virginia, which I think is still valid.
oh, the reference was to Cassius Clay, the senator from Kentucky, the abolitionist from Kentucky.
Ah,
So I'll have to look that story up.
Linda, I've got a video coming up on that tomorrow.
Oh.
On Tupac.
On Tupac, yeah. Zello's Boo, for Uncle, totally with you. Turns out we were a lot closer than we thought we were going to be. Tammy Baines should have aimed lower and made sure he was eliminated from the gene pool. Ian is my spirit animal. I would caution against trying to make a shot like that in that situation. I'm kind of with Ian, like
dead
center
center.
mass. Center
Dead
mass,
center.
just the biggest target you can find.
Yeah.
Crazy Cat Queen. So many times I see effing pranksters, and they're basically school bullies using pranks as an excuse to torturing victims and creating content and making money out of their actions. Accurate. Yep. Accurate. I think this guy might have been like one of the least if there's a guy who's there for jury nullification, man, if there's a victim that's there for jury nullification, he's lining himself up. Tony P and my axe.
nice. Hat.
CJR 902 echoing and my axe. Tony P. One does not simply walk into Loudoun County.
Preach. I always liked going to Loudoun County when I lived in Virginia. Good wineries.
I still do. I enjoy it. Linda Shell E. Oh, that's Linda Shelley. Got it. Why is size a factor? Because it's a component that has people assessing their risk of danger. That's it. It's a factor that you weigh in your mind when you approach a threat. The size of the person that you are going against is a factor that you consider when you're assessing the threat.
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking at a mouse, I'm not worried about the mouse. If I'm looking at someone that's like Andre the Giant, I am approaching the situation differently.
Someone who's a substantially larger size than someone else inherently poses more physical threat.
Stephen
so the
Hawking
nature
is
of the
more
threat-
dangerous or is less dangerous to you than an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So size is
Not
just
for
a
at least the
factor.
reasons that Stephen Hawking is dead.
I mean, when he was alive, he was still not a huge physical threat.
Sarah, love Runkle Unleashed. Get him every week. Lindsay, thank you. You might not be able to pull out a pew pew right now, but axes and swords are still fair game. I just pulled out
Nobody
the
has
axes.
managed
Ian's
to
got the
yet
sword.
have a desk pop with a sword on a YouTube stream.
You didn't say desk pop. Laura Leanne, I plead the fifth. Do you know you're in Canada? Joshua,
Oh my
thanks again
God,
for another
happens
great
all the
FNF.
time.
Have a wonderful
I bet
weekend,
it
everyone.
does. I
Have a
bet it
wonderful
does.
weekend, people. Laura Mont, sending you three love. Appreciate you. Thank you, Laura. Much appreciated. Kathy Trout, Rob needs a nice young lady to take care of him. Rob takes care of himself very well. That
I'm
was
still
not
in the
intended
market
to
though,
sound-
ladies, by the way. So
That was not intended to sound that
Holla.
way. I mean, I'm.
You heard it here first, folks.
You did not. You did not. You heard nothing. You heard nothing. There were no words. No words were said. I will edit that out of the video. No one will hear anything. That was happenstance. Katrina Turner, sweet potato pie. To each their own, man. Can't go wrong with some warm apple pie. A la mode, says tomato cheeks.
here's a hot
Warm
take:
apple-
apple pie is overrated.
That's not a hot take. That is just genuinely accurate.
I am inclined to agree with you, but then again, my favorite's cherry, which is also largely viewed by several as overrated.
It's not
I like
overrated.
blueberry
It's just
for
bad.
the fruits. Blueberry pie is
Blueberry's
pretty
good.
solid.
Blueberry is
second.
good.
Ring camera. Please just be a deer.
Or a peach pie.
Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox. Wanderer, grilled cheese with raspberry jam is the best.
Grilled cheese.
Excuse me,
with
what?
jam.
My wife eats those.
I don't know.
They're okay. They're
I'd be willing to
tolerable.
try
They're
it.
not good.
Yeah. You want to
She
try it, I'm not so
likes
sure.
them as a comfort food.
What? That's a thing?
Well, I
It
guess.
is.
All
I can
right.
see it potentially working. I can see it potentially working.
Okay. Steve A, sour cream and raisin pie. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. That's probably true to some extent.
How about some meat pies? How about like a chicken pot pie?
Chicken pot pie is good.
I love chicken pot pie.
There's an Irish pub near me that does like a Guinness steak and Guinness pie,
Oh,
Yes.
and it's so good. So good. But yeah,
wait, why did I lose audio?
I don't know.
Sorry, it came back.
I hear you.
No, I lost sound. Like I couldn't hear. You said Guinness pot pie and you cut out.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Oh no. Laura Leanne, Ian, please tell a short plead the fifth story for the chat. Do you have it? Ian doesn't have short stories.
Mostly it's that you get people who think that, and I always have to, before I put a witness up on the stand, I always have to warn them that it doesn't work like in the States. If you get up on the stand, they can ask you anything. Your only choice is don't get on the stand or do. But once you get up on the and here's the other fun thing. People are very surprised that in Canada, the rule is if you're not the accused, like if you're not being charged with a crime, you are compellable. And the only rule is that there's a use immunity, which is that they can't use it against you in your trial. But you can straight up be brought on, up on the stand to be like, yes, I shot this guy in the face and I was the real murderer. They can't
I kind
use
of like
that.
that as I actually like that as a default rule, that exists as a default rule, because here you'd have to get the prosecutor to grant it to you instead of the use and derivative use immunity. So you can't compel people on the stand because of the fifth. But I kind of like that as a rule, because use and derivative use immunity would be sufficient to overcome the Fifth Amendment protection. And if it was just as a matter of default rule, I think I like it. So I think Canada might want to have one up on us on that one.
I have actually had people, I have actually had situations where I've called somebody up to testify that they were the real criminal. So
As long as
were
you
they a
can't
smooth-
use,
were-
as
were
long as
they
you
a
can't
smooth
use it
criminal?
against me or anything that derives from it, then
yep, it
that
was
would be
just
sufficient. I'm good. Yeah.
it was possession of drugs for in amounts that suggest trafficking and in circumstances. And the guy's like, "Yeah, no, I loaned him my car, but I didn't tell him what was in the trunk. I didn't, the stuff in the trunk is mine." Like,
Hey Rob, do
see?
you want to
Yeah.
petition the Virginia Supreme Court to amend the rules of evidence so that we can adopt this rule in Virginia?
Tell me how do you realize the backlash?
Oh, people hate
No?
it in the public, I think.
They will hate it. I
Because the
would
guy
be
can stand up and
run
just be like, "Yeah, I
out
totally
of
killed
the
somebody."
town. Yeah, like
That's a
ooh.
good rule. The state can do it. The state can do it. They can call someone to the stand or force someone to the stand with use and derivative use immunity. So the
So
state
why
can do
can't-
it. Why shouldn't it just be an automatic rule? Why should it just be up to the state and their whims? Why shouldn't the defense be able to do it too in the interest of fairness
the
and
state,
equity?
The state gets to charge. I don't get to charge. The state has
Yeah, but
they have
They
prosecutorial
will
discretion.
charge, they just can't use the evidence. They have to
But
find
in
other evidence.
fairness, like the defense should be able to have the same,
Yeah.
same tactics.
I think with Canada on this one. Go Canada.
Canada for the win.
Oh my, okay. Shiraz, thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. Dawn Burke, thank you. Homemade lemon and meringue pie. Lemon meringue's good. Shiraz, how do I mail y'all a proper Texas pecan pie?
The problem with lemon meringue is that so many places don't do it right. There's a lot of
Probably
places
true.
that do bad lemon meringue pie,
Yeah, probably true.
and that makes me sad.
Shiraz says, how can I mail you a proper Texas pecan pie? We have P.O. boxes that's probably not safe.
I live in Texas. Are you in Austin? I'll meet you up for pie.
Yeah, you can send it to Kurt. Yeah, he's in
I
Austin.
can tell you for certain that if you mail that across the border, by the time it gets to me, it'll be
It'll be fermented. It'll be a biohazard and or be alcoholic.
Somebody tried to mail me like some home cooked food, and I don't think they thought that one through. And all I got was a notice from Canada Post that said,
no,
somebody tried to send you a package and it stank, so we threw it out. And I was like, that was the right call. Please do. So yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Foods are tough. Lindsay, cheese pie, especially cherry cheese pie, is best, but most people consider it because English is a cake, because English is a language. Oh, cheesecake. Got it. Yeah.
Cheesecake is fun.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan, but I recognize it as legitimate.
It is.
Tiramisu or tres leche?
Tiramisu.
Yeah, I like a tiramisu.
Yeah, tiramisu. Linda Shelley, Concord grape pie. Curious.
Never had, but I would totally try.
Midnight L, 2008. Best pie, in my opinion, is orange Cool Whip pie. A lot of this is where we're going tonight. I miss eating a real key lime pie. I've been out of the U.S. for 9 years. Oh, that's tough because key lime pie.
Yeah,
they're either good or they
fake
suck.
Key lime. Yeah, fake key lime, artificial key lime. No,
the most relatable part of the whole Dexter show was that whole sequence where he was trying to find a decent key lime pie for this woman who's dying.
It is. Key lime pie is either good or it sucks. There's like no in between. Angie, pineapple M&Ms, that is all. Oh, okay. Now you're speaking my language. Back from my birthday dinner, now FNF, Amy Kimball. And for those of you on the replay crew, thank you for joining in. Thank you for having fun. I do want to call out gifted memberships for the evening, and I thank people for doing that. It really is kind of cool, and it's amazing. And I am putting out a video on making one of these cool pens if I can find time to edit the damn thing. It's been queued up in my editing. Like I have all the clips. I just have to
editing
have the time to do the thing.
Editing sucks.
Josh,
I've got so much editing to do this weekend.
It's the task. You think you're going to be motivated to do it until you sit down and do it. You're like, I don't want to do this.
Oh, I never think I'm going to be motivated to do it. I hate it.
It's really hard.
Even when my edits are just trim the ends off I still hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joshua Ten Hog, thank you
I also
for
hate
the.
making thumbnails.
Yeah, I hate
too.
thumbnails.
Yeah.
I just give up and just do mid-journey thumbnails most of the time these days. They seem to work out okay.
Well, and I get people who are like, "Hey, I'll make thumbnails for you. I only want $50 per video," and I'm like, or, yeah,
Yeah, I get that too. It's like I'll do edits for you. I want $50 a video. I'm like, what kind
The
of
video
revenue
sold.
do you think I'm bringing in?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they hope that you're like independently wealthy and using your personal wealth to fund, a YouTube channel, and you're willing to run it as a loss leader for like 10 years until you give up.
I don't have a massive trust fund yet, so people are like, yeah, $50 a video. I'm like, you'll bankrupt me.
Yeah.
It's tough.
How about $20 a video? I'd like to eat occasionally. I'll do it for free. I've used services that I can afford, and services I can afford don't do anything that's good. So it's like I'll just do it for myself for free and call it.
Oh,
a
and
day.
when I've tried, I'm just like, oh wow, this is the quality that you are offering.
Yeah,
Because that's the other thing is a lot of the time the quality's super awful.
I like the thumbnail guy I use because
Oh, he's good.
I don't
want
I don't do a lot of videos. If I'm putting out videos that are just regular videos, I can't do that. But I don't do a lot of videos.
I'm doing like 3 videos a day though. You know, the throughput is just
It's
yeah.
it's not possible. It's not when
Yeah.
you do that, it's not possible. It's not
Well,
possible.
and
Timing
also if
wise,
you-
everything wise.
if you ever want to react to things that are like now, you just can't. Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's this news announcement. People care about it today. They don't care about it in 3 days. So, yeah.
Yep.
I did do an
that's
emergency edit for my Trump one today because I'm like, it's so timely with the denial of the not going to federal court. So I had to do an emergency edit so I could post it myself this afternoon.
Yep. All right. Let me catch up on gifted memberships. I got to shout those out. Then we're going to wrap up for the evening. Josh at Ten Hog, thank you for 35 gifted memberships this evening. Thank you very much, David, for gifted memberships. David Wu, that's the first time I'm seeing your name in the chat, and I appreciate you being here, my friend. Celebrial, thank you for the gifted memberships. The Nerd Divergent Counselor, thank you for gifted memberships. Jeremy Morton, thank you. Courtney Michelle, thank you. Rachel Dueck, thank you. Ryan Man YYC, thank you. Canonical Heat, always generous, thank you. DSN, thank you. Shell, thank you very much. The gifted memberships are amazing. It's cool because it gets to let people see behind the scenes in the shop when I do shop streams, which will resume when I get the
I need a better camera for shop stream stuff.
Getting that setup done. That was you've asked me about mine. It took me a long time to get to that setup, and I'm glad I did it. But I'm very happy with that. Pam Reed, I make a mean peanut butter pie, another called grasshopper pie, chocolate and mint. Ooh, that sounds delicious.
That works. Yeah.
Peggy Reardon, will you sell pens to members? I don't
Pen
know.
is mightier.
I am figuring out what to do. I actually ended up having to buy a case for like some of the ones I've made. And I've given away half the ones I've made, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out. I might give them away. I might give them to Ian to auction off for for charity live streams. I might figure something out like that. Chrissy, more important, what kind of whiskey is everyone drinking? My whiskey is vodka.
I've got a bottle of Jura number 10, which I'm told it's a good whiskey, but I'm also told Squirrel was fond of it. So it's good to.
We like Squirrel.
Yep.
We do.
So,
all right. Sandy, you're a mod. You don't got to do all this stuff. You already donated enough of your time and energy. Gifted 20 memberships. Thank you, Sandy. Very much appreciated, my friend. All right, but we are going to go ahead and wrap things up. And Sandy, happy birthday on Monday, by the way. Happy birthday on Monday. Thank you for all that you've done to the channel and for the channel.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you've done for Kurt and his channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy birthday.
I have a milestone of sorts that I'd like to
do tell. Please
take
share.
note of. So I have now posted 2,500 videos on my channel.
Nice.
So I got that milestone yesterday. So
It's incredible.
Yeah. it's a lot of videos. They keep doing
A
things
lot of
in
work.
law. They keep doing things, Rob. They keep doing legal things. It doesn't stop.
It's
I
never
can't
going
make-
to.
I can't make the videos fast enough.
It's never going to. It's incredible. Congratulations, Kurt. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So if you ever get bored or need content, well, plenty of content over on Uncivil Law. So yeah, good stuff.
There's plenty
And
of it.
if you're curious about the Tupac Shakur arrests, I go through the search warrant and the indictment. That video will be going up tomorrow. I'm also recording a video on a case where 3 lawyers died.
Not the 3 on screen.
No, different lawyers.
Yep. Lady Drake gifted 10 more memberships. Laura Liani is dropping in with a late super chat. Ian getting donations for a 4-year charity auction. Yep. Gray Gold Girl, thanks for a great wind down to an extremely chaotic month and week working in conflicts at a fairly large law firm. Ooh. That's tough. That is tough. I'm glad you enjoyed. All right. I'm going to wrap this. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being members, watchers, followers. If you haven't checked out Ian, Runkle the Bailey, or Kurt on Civil Law, please do so. They're my friends. We have great debates. We have great discussions. We just enjoy life, period. Cheers to all of you. Have a great weekend. Bop it. The pupper coming in late, $5 super chat. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and we will catch you next week. So, night, guys.